This is a Shields of Shame exclusive.
Elderly Lois Howard, arrested by Canton Police in Cherokee County, Georgia, following a grocery store dispute. Howard alleges mistreatment, including being shoved into a police car, breaking her ribs. Chaos ensues at Cherokee County Detention Center as jail staff refuses admission due to Howard's injuries. Officers left her in the lobby anyways and fled the scene. Listen to the interviews and gather the facts and form your own assessment of the truth. Please visit shieldsofshame.com for behind-the-scenes content. Thank you for supporting our work. Also consider becoming a member. It's just 99 cents a month, and you will have access to bonus content and early releases.
Cherokee County Public Safety.
Canton Police.
Hey, it's Canton. So Lois Howard. She just called up here, and she is at the animal shelter. She pretty much said that that 329 and 348 forced her into a car, and now she's got rib pain, and was saying, Lois Howard.
Said that they forced her into what car?
Into the police car. They took her to the ADC.
Right.
And she's saying that they forced her into the police car, and now she's got pain in her ribs.
Does she want to go to the hospital?
Yeah. We've got fireheaded out there. I just wanted to let you know.
Well, I think she was complaining of her ribs whenever they were on scene, but I'll find out from Leonard about what was causing her rib pain.
All right.
All right.
Alrighty, I just wanted to let you know.
All right, thanks.
All right, bye.
Today's date is May 24th, 2021. The time now is 5:06 p.m. In the room is myself, Sergeant Tiffany Cromer, and Sergeant Gregory Ayers. This is in reference to an internal affairs investigation and interview with Sergeant Ayers. Okay, before we even get started, what I'd like to cover, do you know what Garrity is?
No.
Okay, I'll explain Garrity. Alright. This is in reference to an IA investigation involving Officer Leonard. Okay, I don't have a IA number for it yet, only because Karen's been out, but Garrity warning. This questioning concerns administrative matters relating to the official business of the Canton Police Department. So anything you tell me that could possibly be criminal cannot be used against you. And anything obtained from those statements cannot be used either. Okay, this is just an administrative matter. Alright, what I always give everybody is the same thing across the board. You gotta be truthful with me. You've gotta be honest, completely honest. And this is an administrative matter, okay? It has nothing to do with the criminal aspect of it, which is what we just covered. Now, I'm going to go a little bit further into this. This internal affairs investigation, again, is on Officer Leonard in reference to an incident that happened involving her and Officer Overbay, where they had arrested Lois Howard at the Publix for criminal trespass, okay? It happened on May the 21st, that morning. Anyways, so it's my understanding that when Leonard and Overbay got to the jail, okay, they refused. Lois Howard was refused admittance into the jail because she had claimed that she had a broken rib, and the nurse, not the jail staff, the nurse refused because of the possible broken rib. Alright, it has been advised to us that Leonard chose to act in an unprofessional manner while she was there. So, on the video, what I can see, there's a conversation she is having with someone on the phone. This is exactly what she states. They were refusing Lois Howard for another bullshit reason, so we're dropping her ass off at the front of the jail so that when she calls 911 again, it's the county's issue, not mine. Were you on the phone with her?
I don't believe I was, no.
Okay. Did you at any point ever have a conversation with her? on the phone?
No, because she was gone. After that happened, they got off. Well, reports were caught up, and then she went home. And then I received a call from the sergeant in the jail, let me know, giving me a heads up that him and her had words.
Okay.
He had advised her. He couldn't give me the exact wording.
Okay.
But she said something about, I'm just going to drop her off at the front of the jail. And he said something to the effect that I don't think that would be a good idea, or I suggest you not to do that, or something like that. Pretty much I gathered asking her, don't do that. It wouldn't be a good idea. So then he turns around and tells me that he's got to let his supervisors know. He's got to send an email because they're going to want to know why an ambulance pulled up to the front of the jail at whatever time in the morning, picking Lois Howard up.
Okay. So at any point while she was there at that jail, did you ever have...
I can get my phone, but I don't remember talking to her, and I don't remember her saying to me, I'm going to drop her ass off up front.
Okay, did you ever talk to her on the phone while she was at the jail?
No.
No. Do you know who she could have been talking to?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay. Do you have
I can pull my phone. I mean, that's been since, but I don't remember her saying anything because I specifically told Captain Tucker because he asked me, and
okay.
But I mean, I can check my phone just to double check, but I don't remember having a
Where's your
conversation.
phone at?
Down there on my desk.
Was it your personal phone or is it your work phone?
It's probably my work phone.
Do you mind grabbing it and let me look at it? Thank you.
I grabbed my notepad, the yellow sticky notepad, the conversation I had with the sergeant in the jail.
Okay.
Let me open it up for you.
Yes, please.
Just about any time I talk to her, and I, for the life of me, can't remember her calling me while she was at the jail.
Okay, because there's two calls on here on May 21st. There's one at 1:22 a.m. for 1 minute, and then there's another one at 2:01 a.m. for 13 minutes.
2:01 would have been when she was getting off. They get off at 2.
Okay.
I can't even remember what time they took Lois Howard in either.
So it was at 12:40, and then we've got a call here at 1:22 for 1 minute.
40 minutes later?
Which would be about right.
I swear I don't remember her saying she was going to drop Lois's ass off at the front.
Okay. What were you doing at the time of this call? Do you remember?
I could have been here. I could have been out. I have no idea. That was Thursday night, early Friday morning.
It's Friday morning.
I have no idea.
Okay. Let's see if this will. So, we're a minute in. 1:22 is when you had that phone call. Do you remember this conversation?
I don't. I promise you I don't. I mean, it could have been. I don't know. There was a lot of stuff going on. Me getting reports and stuff. It might have been me. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not denying that she was talking to me if that's the time that was on my phone, but truthfully, I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, it's possible. But if I'm not mistaken, she dropped one off on day shift the other day. I don't know, but I don't remember having that conversation with her. Or her calling me. Or what the conversation was about.
Will you open that back up for me? Were you aware that she had dropped people off at the front of the jail before?
I want to say she dropped one off whenever she's on day shift the other day. Possibly. I don't know. She was saying something about they took somebody and they refused them. And they dropped them. She dropped them off up front.
Okay. Did you have a conversation with her about that? I mean, as far as not doing it?
No, she was just, that was in conversation, and I didn't even, I mean, I figured that would have been a Soto issue.
Okay.
I mean, maybe I guess, thinking back on it now, probably. But I didn't say anything. I mean, no.
Okay. Do you think what she did was acceptable? Do you think that?
No.
Do you if that was you on the phone with her and she was talking to you about this situation, Okay. Is that something you'd have let her done?
Because, I mean, it's like, man, I called the lieutenant after I talked to Sergeant Embriano was the one that called me. So when I got done talking to him and writing that stuff down, then I called Lieutenant Campbell. And then at 7 o'clock that morning, Friday morning, I called Captain Tucker and told him what had happened.
Okay.
And it was discussed between me and the lieutenant that we would sit down and go over it today and figure out what we're going to do about it.
Okay. Ayers, I don't know how you can't remember that phone call. I do not.
I mean, we might have had that phone call, but as far as everything that I said, or if I would have, you know, I don't know. I can't remember. But I'm sure evidently I didn't tell her not to do it, or she would have done something else. So if, you know, a lot of times she just calls me and she's yapping about, disgruntled about this and about that, and I just sit there and she gripes about everything here lately. So, but, I mean, if that time's on my phone and that's on her body camera, then it probably was. But as far as I can remember telling her not to do that, or exactly what I said to her, I have no idea. So I don't.
Do you remember what you were doing at 1?
More than likely, I was here at the office trying to get stuff caught up from where we were so busy. And I've had some other stuff going on outside of work. So, more than likely, I was sitting at my desk.
Would you have been reviewing reports or?
Probably. I mean, if I was at my desk, that's exactly what I was doing.
Was anyone else here with you?
No.
No.
Nobody was in the sergeant's office.
Can you open your phone again, please? Did you ever try to call her? Because this is an outgoing call for 1 minute. So that means you would have called her.
Possibly, but I didn't. I mean, I don't know. I can't, you know. Like I said, for the life of me, I can't remember the conversation or anything. So, I mean, I may have seen something on one of their reports and called her for that. But I can't remember exactly what. I mean, I wished I could remember, but I can't.
Open it up one more time for me. Do you remember what the 13-minute phone call was at 2:01 after all this?
So I'm going home.
Okay. What was all said?
I have no idea. More than likely, did she call me? Her calling me?
No, this is an outgoing call to her.
Then maybe that was what she forgot some stuff on the report or something. Like I said, I talked to all of them through the night. I can't remember.
So you called dispatch at 1:57. Do you remember what that was about?
Might have been for times with that wreck I worked.
So at the
But then again, I talked to them several times, normally through the night too, so I can't really. But I know I called them one time, kind of late, to get times for an accident.
Okay, because then directly after you talk to them, you contact Leonard. Did they call you about an ambulance having to go out to?
They called dispatch? I believe so. But they were sending it to the animal shelter, is what dispatch told me. But then again, I talked to them that night about they had some perishables that some deputy had brought in, and maybe that's what that was about.
What's the 61147 number? It's a Gainesville number. Cancel call. It's in between you talking to Leonard and dispatch.
Might have been that lady from me working on that trying to get that girl out of jail in Glenn County. That might have been the Susan. She had some kind of weird last name. Anyway, she called. Goodness.
Did you know about this whole situation prior to the ADC calling you?
No.
You did not know anything about it?
The ADC asked me to call and said that Lois Howard, they were having to send the ambulance to get Lois Howard at the animal shelter.
Okay. And this phone call right here at 3:38?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably.
All right.
But the Gainesville number, hold on, I've got it wrote down somewhere. Sue, what was that number again? Because I dealt for like 2 hours trying to get that girl out of jail.
Okay.
And one of those phone calls might have been in reference to, well, that wouldn't have been that late. I think I talked to Leonard about, because she was the one on this case back in January that she took warrants on that girl, and then she took warrants that morning, and they were dismissed, or she dismissed the warrant because it fell under that amnesty law.
Okay.
But I mean, like I said, I know that at one point dispatch called, I think, about some perishable food, and I told dispatch to call Leonard because they were supposed to be at the jail.
Okay. So do you think that's maybe when you tried to call her?
Probably.
Because there's calls. Okay. I'm sending these screenshots to my cell phone. Okay. Have you ever been made aware that Lieutenant Campbell told her that she cannot drop people off at the jail, that she either has to take them to the hospital or she has to take them home?
I know in our conversation with Lieutenant Campbell, because I always call him, especially when something like that happens or we have a use of force. Anything notable that I'm going to have to send notification, I'll let him know. And I believe he told him, we were talking in our conversation about she knows better than that because we're responsible for her. So I think that was the gist of my lieutenant's conversation after I got off the phone with this sergeant in the jail, and he told me what happened.
Okay.
But as far as the direct, him telling her, no, I don't remember. But we talked about how we're responsible for her or anybody. We just can't just drop them off at the front of the jail. We need to take her either home or a family member's house or like the hospital.
Correct. Like I've always told you.
So,
you have to have someone responsible for that person when dropping them off. Okay.
But no, that was mine and his conversation. But as far as the direct, him telling me he had told her, no, I don't remember anything like that.
Okay. Have you spoken to her about this?
I haven't, because he called me whatever time it was, like 4 o'clock in the morning. That Sergeant Embriano called. He's like, hey, I just want to give you a heads up. He said, I think the world of Leonard, but I wrote down, he said I wouldn't do that if I was you.
So after you got this information,
I haven't talked to her
about
No,
it?
I haven't talked to her. I talked to him, and then I turned around and I talked to Lieutenant Campbell. Lieutenant Campbell said to call and let Captain Tucker know. So I got off the phone with Lieutenant Campbell, and then at 7 o'clock or a little after 7 o'clock, after I left the gym, I called Captain Tucker and told him what had happened.
Okay.
And I also told him, just like Lieutenant told me I told Captain Tucker that me and Lieutenant would start taking care of it as far as whatever discipline or whatever whenever I came in today.
Okay.
Because he was off all last week.
Okay. So at this time, this is all the questions that I have for you. Now, that being said, I may have further questions for you later on.
Okay.
So now, what I will tell you, I'm giving you a direct order. You cannot speak to anyone about this. Not Lieutenant Campbell, not Officer Leonard, not any other one on the shift, not the chiefs, no one. You can only speak to me. Are we clear on that?
Yes, ma'am.
That is a direct order. Today's date is May 28th, 2021. The time now is 16:22 hours. In the room is myself, Sergeant Tiffany Cromer, and Sergeant Gregory Ayers. This is in reference to an internal affairs investigation. Okay. Thanks for coming back in. I'm simply bringing you in just to clarify some stuff. Now, you have previously signed a Garrity warning. This Garrity warning still stands. And it covers this interview as well. Are you clear on that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. I think I don't want to say that I misled you or that the questioning wasn't to par the last time we spoke, but I want to make sure that I clarify some things because the investigation is rather extensive and there's a lot of moving parts to it. So with that being said, okay. Officer Leonard takes and drops Lois Howard off at the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office, or arrives there and attempts to turn the female over to detention personnel. Okay? Lois Howard is refused because of broken ribs. Okay? Are you familiar with that at this point?
I am now from all this, yes. And
Okay.
from the other night talking to the sergeant in the jail and her report.
Okay. There is radio transmission here. Okay? Do you remember the jail? And I'm asking this because there is radio transmission. At 1:58 in the morning, EMS is called out there in the vicinity of the jail. All right? In the vicinity of the jail. And apparently, Lois Howard makes a comment that the officers broke her ribs that were just out with her but weren't officers. Do you remember this?
I remember getting a call from dispatch saying that EMS was dispatched over to the animal shelter where Lois Howard had called for an ambulance.
Okay.
And that her ribs were broke.
Okay. So from that,
But the best I can recall,
okay.
she was saying that Jerry broke her ribs, not the officers broke her ribs.
Okay.
No, that's my understanding.
So at that point, do you think maybe you understood that she wasn't in jail and that she had to have been dropped off
Yes,
at
ma'am.
that point? I mean, you would have to, I mean, that's what you would confer from that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So there's a 13-minute phone conversation, like we established from your phone, the last time that we spoke. That 13-minute phone conversation occurs at, what, 2 o'clock? 2:01?
Something like that would be.
The radio transmission here is at 1:58 in the morning. So I imagine directly after that occurred, you contacted Leonard, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's on my phone. Yes.
Okay. Do you remember contacting her?
I remember talking to her just like I do other people several times through the shift. I
Okay.
don't really pay attention.
Do you remember calling her? And I'm asking this because it was directly after this. And it's my understanding that at some point you wanted them to come back to the jail and download body camera footage, right?
I mean, I'm guessing that they know that they're always supposed to download body footage. So, but I mean, if it wasn't anything, I don't believe directly to that. It's just they know they're always supposed to download their body cams or leave them here, not take them home without stuff downloaded.
Okay.
Because I didn't get the call. I mean, I knew about the ambulance getting called to the animal shelter for Lois Howard because I talked to dispatch. I don't know exactly what time that was. Okay. It says 1:57 a.m. on May 21st. Outgoing call to dispatch. So evidently that's whenever they called me.
Over the radio to have you call them? How long was that phone conversation?
And then, let's see, a minute.
Okay, so that would be about right. And then you contacted Leonard. I'm trying to jog your memory here.
I'm trying my best. Trust me. I mean, I've tried to think this whole thing through. What all's happened. And then there was an outgoing call to Leonard at 2:01.
And have you you been able to remember any of that conversation?
I don't, unless it was something about whatever business they had as far as reports and all that. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I've racked my brain trying to think about what the 13-minute conversation would have been with her. But I mean, now, she could have told me. I'm not saying that she didn't. I just don't remember if she told me that or not. And that's on me. Just like with dispatch telling me about Lois Howard, that's totally on me. I take full responsibility for that. But as far as talking to her about that, I don't remember any of that conversation.
Okay.
I mean, I wish I did, because I don't have anything to hide. I ain't never had anything to hide.
Okay.
But I mean,
In that phone call conversation, the first one, that 1 minute, have you been able to recall anything from that conversation? Do you remember any of it?
no,
you
unless
call
it
her?
was we talked about before, unless it had to do with grabbing that food and taking it over to the battered women's shelter. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, that I'm halfway sure of. That's what that was in reference to, because it had nothing to do with but for her to grab that or to call dispatch or go to the dispatch and get that perishable food for the homeless shelter. It's the best I can recall.
Okay.
I mean, I wished I remembered it, but then again, if she told me that and I didn't act on it, that's totally on me, and I take full responsibility for that.
Okay. What did you think about Lois Howard being over there at the animal shelter?
To be honest, I guess, I just kind of blew it off, because we're constantly dealing with her. She's always talking about having some kind of ailment, which regardless isn't right, because thinking back on it, I wouldn't want any of my family members just left out somewhere at 1 o'clock in the morning. And like I said, I don't know. I had a lot going on, not just at work, but at home. And I was just, I don't know. It was negligent on my part. And like I said, I remember the words Chief Mitchell told me whenever he hired me, that as long as I treated everybody like I wanted my grandmother to be treated, I'd have no problems. And I didn't, and that's on me. Because I pretty much, I was like, well, ambulance is coming to pick her up. They're going to take her to the hospital for whatever. I don't know of anything, which doesn't make anything right, but she's never had anything wrong with her. It's like she's always crying wolf about, Jerry Jones has kicked her in the back and she broke her ribs and she's got bruises and this and that and the other, and none of that's ever it's all false. And I should have acted on it, and I didn't. And that's, like I said, that's on me. I have to live with that. Looking back on it, it's like Chief Mitchell said, that's somebody's mother or sister or something, and I should have acted better than what I did.
Do you know if it's common practice for them to turn off their body cameras as much as they have been?
Nope. I've told them, just like I told Lieutenant Campbell, just like I told Captain Tucker. I've always preached, even whenever I was FTO and I was training people, they're not to turn their body cameras off until they're in their cars, leaving the scene.
Have you been doing the body camera reviews?
This month or last month? No. Bass has been doing them. I've been doing them monthly. Bass was in charge of doing the audio-video reviews.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all the questions I have for you right now. End of recording. The time now is 16:30. Today's date is June 16th. 2021. The time now is 16:40 hours. In the room is myself, Sergeant Tiffany Cromer, Lieutenant John Loomis, and Sergeant Gregory Ayers. This is in reference to Internal Affairs Investigation 033. All right, so I've got you back in here today because I have a few follow-up questions to go over with you. Just to backtrack and reiterate, this is in reference to a situation that occurred at the jail on May 21st with Officer Aaron Leonard, where Lois Howard was dropped off at the front of the jail. Okay, so the first question that I'm going to ask you is, when was the first time you knew Officer Leonard dropped Miss Howard off at the front of the jail? When was the first time you found that?
Yes, I can remember whenever I talked to the person at the sheriff's office in the jail who informed me that they had to call an ambulance. Oh, well, I'll take that back. Dispatch called and said they were dispatching an ambulance to the animal shelter for Lois Howard.
Okay, when you got that phone call, what did you do after that?
Went back to work.
Did you contact Leonard about
Did not.
what occurred?
Not that I know of. No, ma'am, I did not. The timelines on all that stuff, like I said, it's been so long ago, I can't remember hardly anything that went on. I remember talking to Leonard about some barbecue or some perishable stuff, I think while she was at the jail. Then I don't remember any conversation with her about Lois Howard at the jail. Like I told you last time, if I talked to her and she smarted off something about it, I was doing other stuff and I just didn't act on it.
She pretty much said that that 329 and 348 forced her into a car, and now she's got rib pain, and was saying Lois Howard
said that they forced her into what car?
Into the police car. They took her to the ADC.
Right.
And she's saying that they forced her into the police car, and now she's got pain in her ribs.
Does she want to go to the hospital?
Yeah. We've got fireheaded out there. I just wanted to let you know.
Well, I think she was complaining of her ribs whenever they were on scene, but I'll find out from Leonard about what was causing her rib pain.
All right.
All right.
Alrighty, I just wanted to let you know.
All right, thanks.
All right, bye.
How did you know that? How did you know that she was complaining of her ribs on scene?
I have no idea, unless I don't know.
Did you go to the scene?
No, I did not.
Did you talk to anyone else that was on the scene?
Not that I remember. I think as far as I know, Leonard and whoever else, I don't even know who else was on scene. Like I told you, I didn't even read over that report. I see Leonard writes a report, and like I told you before, between her and Johnson and them, that's all on me, because whenever they write a report, I skim over it whenever I see it's them and I see what kind of report it is, and I skim right over it. I don't read their reports word for word.
Okay,
and like I said before, Lois is always complaining of injuries that don't exist. So did I play it off? More than likely so. Because every time we go out with her, Jerry's kicked her in the ribs, she's got broken ribs, or she's got some kind of medical issue, but she don't hardly ever want to act on it. And we've never found anything that she's complained about substantiated during the whole ordeal with them. So did I play it off as her just calling Wolf again? Probably. But now as far as that, I don't know. I can't remember because it's been so far back. I don't remember every sequence of events that happened because, like I said, with it being Lois Howard or Jerry Jones, we deal with them sometimes several times during a work cycle. And it's always something fraudulent to the point to where people's talked about being able to what we could do to actually charge her or Jerry about making all these fraudulent accusations that are never true. So that's been so far back, I can't remember every sequence of events that happened on that case.
Okay, so this is the problem I'm having. I cannot locate any phone call that you had with dispatch in reference to perishable items. So that 1 minute phone call conversation, okay? What was it? How can you not remember
I have
that?
no idea. It was a 1 minute conversation
called her.
that happened. Like I said, I don't know. I can't remember.
Okay.
That's
So-
been so long ago, I can't remember every sequence about that situation, that call. Because like I said, most of the time it's BS between Lois and Jerry, and none of it's ever, and I
But
get
the problem
that.
is, did Leonard pick up perishable items? Did she?
I don't know if she ever did or not. I
She
relayed
couldn't
that
have.
information. Okay, well, I relayed that information. I told dispatch, just like I told you, she was at the jail to contact Leonard. That way she could pick them up while she was there. Did it ever happen? I don't know. I went back to doing other stuff that I needed to do. So I don't know if she ever picked them up. I don't know if she did or not.
What other stuff was you doing at the time?
I was looking over reports, and like I explained to Sergeant Cromer, and it's all on me because I know we're supposed to leave whatever's going on outside work when we come to work. This is where at work. But I had a lot of other personal stuff going on at that time that my mind was all over the place. So again, that's on me. I take full responsibility for that. I'm well aware that I'm reliable for every one of the officers that work under me of what they do on this shift. I understand that. I'm supposed to watch over them, and I'm supposed to lead them and guide them and supervise them better. But I can't remember what I can't remember on any of that. Because like I said, with Lois Howard and Jerry Jones, which I'm not saying that that's right, but they've made so many calls, we've dealt with them so many times, you can't. Unless I was to go up and visibly see a wound on her, she calls about him assaulting her all the time. She calls about, and he calls about, them making threats to each other all the time.
Do you remember the 13-minute phone call conversation?
I don't.
Okay. But it wasn't only on the phone. It was in person as well. I know for a fact that Leonard wasn't on her way home when that 13-minute phone call conversation occurred.
Okay.
Do you want to know how I know that? It's because you also talked to Overbay at the same time. They were here. She had him on speakerphone, and y'all were having a conversation.
Okay.
You also pulled up here at the PD and had a conversation with them about plugging in their body cameras to download the footage. Do you remember any of that?
I remember talking to them about making sure that they don't cut their stuff off at the jail or anywhere else until they leave a call. I've explained that to all of them. That
But
it's
why
for-
would you ask, or why would you tell them not to cut their stuff off at the jail if you hadn't watched the
Like
video
I said,
footage?
ma'am,
Or
I haven't watched the video footage. I haven't watched the video
Hold on,
footage.
stop. You're not answering my question. Just listen to me first before you answer, okay? If you knew that they had cut it off, like you had just said, that you had watched the video, or that they had cut their video camera off, how did you know that? Was that in the conversation that they had cut them off? I'm trying to help you remember what the conversation was.
And I've tried my best to remember. I can't remember. More than likely so. I don't know. I know maybe they did. Like I said, if they've got a better recollection of what took place, then that is a good possibility that might have happened. But I preach to them all the time whenever I notice this on video reviews or whatever, if they've turned their stuff off, that's not what they're supposed to do. That's not up to their best interest, especially when they go to the jail. I've told them countless times, different ones, not just Leonard or Overbay, but everybody on the shift. I've told them, just in case, especially if they've got somebody that's acting combative, that way they've got their own video, or we have their own video, of whatever's going on. If the jail has, deputies have to put hands on people. That way it can't come back on us. But like I've explained to you, I have nothing to hide. If they say that happened, then more likely it happened. But do I remember everything? No, I can't.
Okay, so we've established here, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we've established that you knew she dropped her off at the jail prior to you speaking to Sergeant Embriano at 3 o'clock in the morning. Is that correct?
Through dispatch and stuff. Yes, ma'am.
So you were fully aware?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Did you find that action acceptable?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Okay. What action did you take?
I didn't
If you did
take
take any action, why not?
I blew it off, but like I said, it's Lois Howard, and I had a lot of other personal stuff going on. That's on me. I get it, and that's what I'm trying. That's the only explanation I've got. I had other stuff going on at home in my personal life that I should have tried harder to put on the back burner and handled my supervisor duties at the Canton Police Department, and I didn't. Lois and Jerry Jones are always complaining, and that's not excusable either, but that's my reasoning, the best that I can explain. They're always saying that they've got injuries that we've never been able to.
The injuries aren't the issue here. It's where she left a mentally handicapped
Yes, ma'am.
elderly woman
And I told you last
and the
time.
way she acted in the jail.
And I told you last time, I had no idea until that sergeant called me in the jail and told me how she acted. And then after that, I made it clear, and I notified Lieutenant Campbell. And then at 7 o'clock that next morning, I did exactly what I told Lieutenant Campbell I was going to do. I called it Captain Tucker, and I made him aware of it as well.
So you didn't think it was warranted that you called Campbell prior to speaking to Embriano about the situation from what you already knew? You didn't think it was warranted to contact them and let them know?
Evidently not.
Let's change gears for just a minute. So, timeline-wise, and you said before, timeline-wise, it didn't matter because you kind of don't remember. So you did say that you didn't watch the video, and to date, you still haven't watched it.
I don't think so, no, sir.
So this night when this happened, Leonard left at 2 o'clock in the morning?
Yes.
Is that when she gets off?
The phone call conversation was at 2:01. It was after that she left.
She leaves around 2?
Sometimes she leaves later than that, depending on, I don't know if the time, there was a time that she was working 11:11, and then they changed it to 2 to 2.
So when she leaves, you were aware of what happened before she left. And another hour goes by, and the jail calls around 0300-ish, and they let you know how she acted in the jail. They basically complained on her. So you've got a complaint on an officer, and this is at 3 in the morning. So from 3 till the time you got off at 6. But did you hang around and call somebody at 7? You called Tucker or Campbell?
No, sir. I called Captain Tucker probably about 30 minutes after I got off the phone with the jail.
So during that 4
I let
hours,
the jail know what went on with.
so you did let him know. But during that 4 hours, from 3 till 6 or 7, you never thought to look at the video or to contact the sheriff's office and say, I understand the complaint and we will be looking into it.
I wrote all the information, and I talked to the sergeant on the phone about me taking care of as far as contacting my supervisors.
So to help us understand, there's a lot you don't remember.
Yes, sir.
And I hate asking personal questions, but you're on my time when you're here. What was so important
Sir,
in your personal
I've been
life?
dealing with custody stuff with my ex-wife, and I had a flooded half of a house. There was floors ripped up, nasty smell. I got maybe 3 or 4 hours of sleep amongst that week of having the house halfway tore apart and dealing with my ex at the same time.
So those are the things that you vividly remember. Dealing with her. Was you dealing with her at 3 o'clock in the morning, or
No, sir, I wasn't.
Are these things? And is this just going on in your mind? You're not
Yes,
concentrating.
Yes, sir.
I'm just trying to figure out where your frame of mind was.
My mind was scattered all over the place. I was trying to figure out how I was going to deal with the custody of my kids. I was trying to figure out what the next steps were, trying to get them to get the house straightened back up, because I was just about to get my kids for the weekend or for more visitation. So yes, sir, my mind wasn't completely like I should have been at work. So I don't remember a lot that went. I mean, I've racked my brain and tried to remember this and that. And like I said, I do remember talking to dispatch about them dispatching an ambulance to Lois Howard and me not acting on that.
Did anything cross your mind after the fact, like when you went home and you had a minute for it to sink in? Was there
all that kind of went through my mind about what I should have done. Yes, sir. Of course. I know I should have acted on it sooner. I know Leonard had been a handful, and me having to try to put my, as a figure of speak, thumb down her and supervise her harder. But like I said, at the same time, which is really no excuse whatsoever when it comes to coming to work, my mind wasn't completely on trying to deal with Leonard and having to do that. I mean, like I said, I went home, I've sprayed bleach, I put fans on my floors trying to get them dried up to get the smell away and everything else. So, no sir, my mind wasn't, my mind wasn't 100% at the PD like it should have been.
Is that all you have?
Yeah.
All right. Why did you feel like you needed to supervise Leonard harder? I mean, why do you think you needed to put your thumb down?
Because she's gotten more arrogant, she's got more cocky the more that she's learned, and she's tested stuff just like we talked about on that body cam footage of her on the traffic stop about the girl that possibly ate meth. She likes to go that extra length. I've had another one that's not here anymore. He used to try to he would push just as far just to see just how far he could go, but she's even a little bit different because I guess she feels like she does work hard and she is knowledgeable, but at the same time with that, I feel like she thinks that she's supposed to be dealt with different as far as being more lenient because of the hard work she does and her knowledge and her going and getting, into stuff here and there. She has to be I've just watched her closer because like I said, the more she gets out here is, and it's even her with going out here, going on a call, and then next thing you know, she's wanting to find dope on somebody. It's just, it takes more to manage and supervise Officer Leonard than it does other people because she pushes just a little bit different, a little bit further into stuff. It's just like that night on the traffic stop with the dope. I had to sternly tell her, and I don't have to do that with other officers on the shift. But like that night, I had to halfway talk sternly to her and say, you are going to get with the nurses at the jail after we get EMS to come out and check her, and you take her to the jail. She has to be watched a little bit closer.
So wouldn't it be fair to say that you were watching her a little closer that night?
Not that night. No, I wasn't. Whenever all that traffic stop and stuff came up, right after all this got started, because I seen then that I was going to have to watch her even closer. But I've always had to talk a little more sternly in situations here and there, and it's always worked because once I talk to her kind of halfway sternly like that, then she understands. It's like she reverts back to the way she used to be and the way she needs to be. It's just sometimes, like I said, with all the dope cases and stuff she gets, I guess her ego and everything just kind of, she gets to where she thinks that she can just do whatever. So it wasn't until after the traffic stop after that, that's whenever I told her that night that she was going to check with the jail and let them know what had took place out on the road after EMS and stuff left.
Okay.
I'll just clarify. I mean, I appreciate you being candid with us. During either the 13-minute phone conversation you had with Leonard, maybe even during the personal meeting you had with her, she did make a statement that she was never told not to do that. And you said if we had talked to somebody else and they told us what happened, then that's probably what happened. So, is it fair to say that if she says...
Yes, sir. Like I told you before, she said that we had that conversation, we probably did.
Okay. And like I said, I appreciate you being candid with us.
I have no reason. I have nothing to hide. If I remembered, I would tell you I remembered, but I don't. And like I said, it's no excuse for the stuff that I had going on. So, like I told you before, if they said that we had a conversation about it, it might have happened. Can I remember it personally? No. And I've never had a reason to lie, and I'm not going to lie about it. So.
Okay. Well, those are all the questions that we have for you right now. Again, understand that you cannot speak to anyone about this except for him or I. If we have any further questions, we'll let you know. We'll call you and have you come back in. At this time, do you have any questions for us?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Today's date is July the 22nd, 2021. The time now is 2:12 p.m. In the room is myself, Sergeant Tiffany Cromer, Lieutenant John Loomis, and Sergeant Gregory Ayers. This is in reference to an internal affairs interview. Okay. First thing I want to go over is Garrity, okay? Since this is a separate and new internal affairs investigation, which is 21 IA 047. I'm going to read you the Garrity warning, further explain it to you. Before we even get into this, we just talked about truthfulness. I need you to understand that we are going to be going over questions that we have already asked you in previous interviews, okay? And I need you to be truthful with me. And if you can recall things, you tell me. If you can't, you can't. But I need you to be honest with me, okay? All right. Understand that we've spoken to all parties involved. We've had interviews, we've listened to phone calls, we have watched body camera footage, we've read over reports. We've looked into everything there is. This is the final part of our investigation, is this interview, okay? So understand that. So, again, I'm going to be going over questions. Lieutenant Loomis may be asking you questions as well, just about questions that we have previously asked you about to find and understand further clarity of those answers and if there's anything you'd like to add. So, all right. In that first interview that we had, you and I, okay, when I asked you about the conversation, or I'm sorry, of you speaking to Officer Leonard at the jail, if you did, when I gave you that entire convo that y'all had that I read to you word for word, you told me that you did not believe that was you on the phone and that no, you had not spoke to her. Okay, regarding that, is there anything that you want to provide or tell me anything further? Have you remembered anything further from that conversation?
I don't. I told you exactly what I remembered as far as talking to her, everything. And I told you, if me and Leonard had that conversation, I don't remember it. I don't remember having a conversation with her. And I've been upfront and truthful about that since the beginning. I don't remember. And it's like I told you before, if I remember anything, then I've told you what I've remembered. And I also told you, if me and her had a conversation, then we had that conversation. Do I remember when I had it? No. Do I remember what it was about? No.
Okay, so this is the hard pill for us to swallow, okay? That was 2 days. I interviewed you the first time 2 days after the incident occurred, okay? You were able to remember in length what you and Sergeant Embriano's conversation was about.
I made notes of what me and the sergeant in the jail called me and told me what Leonard had said. I turned right around and I called Lieutenant Campbell, and I let Lieutenant Campbell know from my notes what the sergeant in the jail told me had happened. And I also told Lieutenant that I knew we had to let Captain Tucker know, and I asked Lieutenant Campbell if it was okay if I let Captain Tucker know by 7 o'clock that morning before I went home and went to sleep, and he said that was fine. I did exactly that, but I went off of, I had the notes from where I talked to the sergeant in the jail about what he thought Leonard said. I had all that. I took notes. As soon as that happened, I took notes of who I talked to and what time I talked to him.
Okay. All right. So, and just for me to clarify, it is fair for me to say that you don't remember any of that conversation you had with her while she was at the jail?
I don't.
Okay. You explained to me that you thought that you had called her because of some possible perishable items at the jail.
I did.
Correct? Okay.
I did.
All right. This is the other issue I'm having. All right? And for me to be able to understand this, I'm unable to locate a phone call conversation through dispatch that you had in reference to those perishable items. Also, when I spoke to Leonard, she doesn't remember anything being said about perishable items. She doesn't recall anything. On top of that, those items were never picked up. So, you're able to remember that you think that that phone call was about you calling about perishable items. Is it fair to say that since you can remember that, why it's difficult to understand why you can't explain to me or any of us what that phone call conversation is about? You can remember the perishable items part, but you can't remember anything else. Is it fair to say that's difficult for us to understand as to how you can remember that aspect of it, but you can't remember any of the other part of the conversation? Can you see how that's difficult for us to understand?
Dispatch asked me to give them a call about the perishable items. I told her to get them to get with Leonard. What they did after that, or if they did that or not, I don't know.
Okay, so you weren't calling her about the perishable items?
No, ma'am. I talked to dispatch. Dispatch asked me to give them a call, and they told me, and I said pass it on to Leonard.
Okay.
Because the best I could recollect, she was still at the jail or close by that she could have went by and got that. I didn't talk to Leonard about going by and picking stuff up. Dispatch asked me to give them a call. I called them. They passed that information on to me about the perishable items that they had in dispatch that they were trying to get to, like the battered women's shelter or somewhere, to somebody that could use them because they brought a ton of stuff that was going to go bad if it didn't.
Well, then I
didn't contact Leonard.
Okay, hold on. What I need to understand then, yes, you did call her. We located 2 phone calls on your phone in that first initial interview.
Okay.
Okay? One was at 1:22 in the morning.
Okay.
Correct?
Okay.
We both saw that on your phone, correct?
Okay.
Okay. Why did you call her at 1:22 in the morning?
I can't remember. That's just it. I don't know what I talked to her about. I don't know.
Okay, if I called you and I was thoroughly upset, as we saw on that video that she was, the language she was using, how she was speaking, I find it extremely hard to believe that I wouldn't be able to remember that conversation.
I'm telling you everything, I promise, I swear. I'm not lying I'm telling you everything that I can remember from this being the 4th time I've been called in here. I'm being upfront and as honest as I know to be.
Okay.
I haven't lied about anything. If I remembered, I wouldn't have a problem in the world telling you. And I told you, I don't remember what that conversation was about.
Okay, let's move on to the 13-minute phone call conversation. Okay? All right. In that 13-minute phone call conversation, you were headed back here to the PD. Okay? When I spoke to Officer Leonard, she said that during that conversation, you called her. Okay? You called Officer Leonard, and she was coming back here to the PD. And at some point, you both met each other here. Fair enough? Do you recall meeting her here? Do you recall that?
I remember running into her. I run into her all the time. Can I remember the exact time? No.
Okay. But do you recall if it was about the time she was leaving?
Possibly. I don't know for sure. I don't know. I can't remember 9 weeks ago what happened time for time. It's like I explained to you before. If she says we had a conversation and she could remember what that conversation was about, then that probably happened.
But you told me the conversation.
But do I remember it?
But you told me the conversation was about her downloading her body camera footage before she left. So is it fair to say that while y'all were here, she was about to leave, but y'all had met
Yes, ma'am.
before she left?
Before she left, she knows that she's supposed to download her body camera footage.
Okay. The other issue I'm having is prior to you making that 13-minute phone call conversation, you spoke to dispatch. That is that recorded conversation that I let you listen to between you and that dispatcher, correct? You make, you remember listening to that, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You make a statement in there after he explains that Miss Howard is at the animal shelter complaining of rib pain, saying that she was forced into a car by some officers. You made a statement stating that she had rib pain while she was at the Publix, and that you were going to contact Officer Leonard about that and figure out what was going on.
Okay.
Not even 2 minutes later, that's when that 13-minute phone call conversation happened. Okay? So, after knowing that and understanding how those are related, can you remember anything specifically or recall anything about that 13-minute phone call conversation with Officer Leonard? Just take a moment and think about it.
Please consider subscribing. Subscribing. Subscribing.
There might have been a conversation about verifying with Leonard that she was complaining about Jerry again breaking her ribs. That was her always complaint. But other than that, no, I don't.
Okay, about...
She might have said something about, she complained of her ribs hurting, but she's always making those allegations about Jerry's always kicked her in her ribs or in her kidneys. It's always Lois's kidneys or her ribs. Other than that, no, I don't.
Okay.
I guess I was verifying that the pains that she said that she was having were, again, like I said, it's all on me because that's an elderly woman that's my job to protect. So blowing that off, that's something I have to live with. But that's the only thing I can minorly remember having Leonard a conversation about, was about the fact that she's always complaining, and she was complaining about Jerry doing that, not them doing that to her, because they've never been over aggressive with Jerry or Lois, because they always, and it's no excuse, but everybody knows, just like I said before, everybody knows Lois is always complaining that Jerry either kicked her in the ribs or kicked her in the kidneys. Whenever we all know Jerry probably couldn't get his feet 3 inches off the ground. So if me and Leonard had a conversation about the injury, that's probably what that was. Was it about anything else? I don't know, because I can't remember any of it.
Okay, but now you're recalling this part of it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there anything else you can recall? Because before you couldn't. Now you're telling me you're remembering this part.
Yeah.
So I need you to think about this.
I can't.
Okay. The in-person conversation that you had with Officer Leonard. Do you remember any of that? Do you recall any of that conversation you had with her?
I don't. At that point, I was coming back, I guess, to start on trying to get stuff done. Like I explained to you and Lieutenant Loomis, I was ready to get out. I had other stuff that I was already planning on doing, trying to get home to try to get my house straightened back up. I don't. I've been as truthful as I know to be. I'm not trying to hide anything. I never have.
But do you understand how difficult it is
I
for us to
understand.
understand that
Yes, ma'am. I totally understand.
that you can remember certain things that, like, Sergeant Imbriano told you, or that she had pain in her ribs on scene, but you can't remember 2 phone call conversations and an in-person conversation. Those 2 phone call conversations were initiated by you. Not her calling you
I
while
totally
you were in the middle of
understand.
something, doing something. This is you taking a moment, sitting in your vehicle, wherever you're sitting, grabbing that phone, searching her name, calling her, and talking with her on the phone.
I understand.
That's difficult for us to understand, that you cannot remember those conversations, to even include that in-person conversation. That's hard for us to understand.
I understand.
That's why we're sitting here right now.
This is a Shields of Shame exclusive. Exclusive. Exclusive.
I haven't been untruthful about this whole thing. I've told you everything I could possibly remember. When it comes to me, I can tell you,
When
I
you
have no reason to lie. I've never had no reason to lie about anything. If I'm in the wrong, then I'm in the wrong. But I'm not going to lie to try to cover up one of my wrongs. That's not me. I'm telling you everything that I can possibly remember.
Okay. When you spoke to Sergeant Imbriano, at any point, do you remember, since you do remember a good bit of that conversation, do you remember him telling him that you were going to talk to Officer Leonard, or that you had talked to her about the situation prior to talking to him?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What did you tell Sergeant Imbriano? Did you tell him that you had talked to Officer Leonard
ma'am.
prior to that?
Because I hadn't at that point. He called me and made me aware of it, the best I can remember.
Okay, but before, when we just spoke, you said you remember that conversation, that little bit of conversation on the phone with Officer Leonard about the broken rib and the injury.
That was after the fact. That's whenever
No,
he
you spoke to Sergeant Imbriano after. That was 1:22 and 2:01 in the morning. You spoke to Sergeant Imbriano at 3-something in the morning. It is not after the fact. Take a moment and think about this. When it comes to the phone call conversation that you had with Sergeant Imbriano, did you tell him that you had already spoken with Officer Leonard about this and that you were going to handle it?
No, ma'am, I don't think I did.
Did you talk to him and tell him, hey, look, I'm going to talk to her? Did you talk about any of the conversation that you had with Officer Leonard with Sergeant Imbriano?
No, ma'am, I don't remember that I did.
You don't?
No, ma'am, I don't remember.
Okay. All right, when you spoke to Lieutenant Campbell that morning and notified him after you spoke to Sergeant Imbriano, did you tell them that you had spoke to Officer Leonard at that point? Did you, like, when y'all were talking, hey, look, this is what's going on, this is what
No,
happened?
because I...
Think before you answer. When you called him, did you tell him you had spoke to Officer Leonard already? And to jog your memory, maybe when you were on the phone, would you have said, hey, yeah, I've talked to her, this is what she said about this?
I don't remember.
Or what she told me is a lot different than what Sergeant Imbriano told me. Anything along that lines.
I don't remember. I remember going across with him with the notes that I had about what the sergeant in the jail said.
Okay, well, when you talked to Tucker, did you tell him anything about you and Officer Leonard's conversation? Or if you had spoken to her?
I can't remember if I told him about me talking to her or... I can't remember. I know I had notes from the sergeant of what he said.
Mm-hmm.
And I took them with me on that sticky note with the times and stuff that I talked to the sergeant.
And did you decide to call Captain Tucker, or did Lieutenant want you to call Captain Tucker?
No. The best that I can remember, I told Lieutenant Campbell if it was okay, instead of sending an email, if I called Captain Tucker and talked to him personally on the phone instead of trying to type up something in email. He said that was fine, just to make sure that I called him, which I did. Whenever I told Lieutenant Campbell, I would call him.
Okay.
And I had stuff on the sticky note with the times and stuff and the sergeant's name. And I even jotted down the quote that he thought that Leonard might have said.
Okay. All right. Lieutenant, do you have any questions?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Sergeant, I understand that this has been going on for, you said 9 weeks. I'll take your word for it. It's been a while. And you got to, I understand you're aggravated. I would be too. And you've been in here 4 times. And partly for the reason for that is there's stuff that's transpired that we, like she said, we have a hard time swallowing. And we just want to make sure we've got everything the way it should be, because this is it. It's going to be typed up. And if there was any opportunity that you might have recollected something, then we're giving that to you. If not, we understand. You've clearly said you don't remember many times. And we didn't bring you in here to call you a liar. We're not saying that you're being untruthful. Nothing like that. We want all your statements to be verified. We're ready to be done with this as much as you are. Okay? Question-wise, no, I don't have any further questions. Do you have any questions for us?
No. I understand this job's about character. It's about integrity, and that's what I've always done. So, I mean, I accept whatever, because I know inside with myself personally, I've been as truthful as I know to be. I'm not lying. I know what this job's about. If you don't have character or integrity, you don't have anything. You get labeled as not being truthful, you don't have anything. You don't have people's trust. You can't do anything in this job. And I understand that. And I've been as truthful as I know to be. I don't have a reason to lie.
Okay.
It's like I told you before. I had a lot of stuff going on. I was ready to go home and start on that. That's on me. That's on me. My supervising wasn't where it should, nowhere near where it should have been. That's on me. I take responsibility for that. But I'm not being untruthful about anything. I've told you exactly what I could remember of whatever.
Okay. Well, we have no further questions for you. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video. The time now is 2:36 p.m. Today's date is May 24th, 2021. The time now is 14:23 hours. In the room is myself, Sergeant Tiffany Cromer, and Officer Logan Overbay in reference to an internal affairs investigation. All right. So first, all right. Do you know what Verity is?
I do not.
Okay, we're gonna learn about it today. It's a great thing. Right here. Okay. You are not the subject of this investigation. You are merely a witness of the whole thing.
Okay.
So don't think that you're in here being investigated. You're just a part of the situation, okay?
Okay.
That being said, I always tell people be truthful. Look, I know you're an FTO, and I hate the fact that you are having to sit in front of me this early on into your career here. I don't want you to think that we're out here to hang people by any means. This came from outside. The sheriff's office brought it up. It was like, hey, what the heck? So once that occurs, we have to at that point. So unfortunately, that's kind of how this started.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the incident I'm talking about?
So yes, but no. But
Okay.
what exactly is
Yeah, I'll explain that
the
to you.
investigation under?
So on May the 21st, y'all went out with Lewis Howard and
Jerry.
Jerry
Okay.
Jones. Y'all left Jerry there with Silas and EMS,
Mm-hmm.
right?
She pretty much said that that 329 and 348 forced her into a car, and now she's got rib pain, and was saying Lois Howard
Said that they forced her into what car?
into the police car. They took her to the ADC.
Right.
And she's saying that they forced her into the police car, and now she's got pain in her ribs.
Does she want to go to the hospital?
Yeah. We've got fire-headed out there. I just wanted to let you know.
I think she was complaining of her ribs whenever they were on scene, but
Uh-huh.
I'll find out from Leonard about what was causing her rib pain.
All right.
All right.
Alrighty, I just wanted to let you know.
So on May the 21st, y'all went out with Lewis Howard and
Jerry.
Jerry
Okay.
Jones. Y'all left Jerry there with Silas and EMS,
Mm-hmm.
right? Transported Lewis Howard to the jail. At some point, a nurse refused to accept her into the jail because of a broken rib, so to
Yes.
speak. At which point, Leonard became very upset about it, to my understanding. That's what we're talking about here.
Okay, so this is the fact that she was upset and how
and
she
how
reacted.
she acted. So
Okay.
it's a unbecoming conduct situation, essentially. Just, or unsatisfactory performance, whichever. I mean, I don't like to stack people with crap, but, and I'm not saying that she's guilty of that right now. I'm not, that's what an investigation's for. That's what
Okay.
we're looking at, if that makes sense. I've watched videos. I've seen things, but unfortunately, she has no video footage. Her video was cut off when she got in the car to transport Lewis Howard.
Mine was still on though.
Yours was. And the in-car, sort of. For some reason, there's something going on with them. I'm trying to figure that out now. And there is video footage of the jail.
Mm.
I just received that footage. I have not even got to watch it yet.
Okay.
It was like pulling teeth to get that.
Oh, from the jail.
From the jail.
Okay.
So, man, you did a great job dealing with her. I'd have lost my crap on her, not the situation. Her. That woman drives me insane.
She's a handful.
But you're calm, you're collected. You're the opposite of what Leonard was doing. And what kills me is the fact that you're the guy in training. This is your FTO. I love Leonard. I'll do anything for her. But how she acted is just, that's what our concern and our problem is here. So, if you will, start from the very beginning to getting called to Publix, okay? Start from the start and take me through the entire evening
Okay.
of that encounter.
I'm a little bit blurry on a lot of the things, you know, that's passed. So, okay, so we were leaving a call, and we received a new call that those two individuals were at Hallmark, not at Publix, but they were at the Hallmark sitting on a bench, and I believe the Hallmark person that was working there called it in saying that they had stolen things from the area before, and they were sitting on the bench outside, and they just didn't want them around.
Okay.
So, to my understanding, they were not CT'd from Hallmark, but they were CT'd from Publix. And it didn't come to our attention until on the way there we stopped to talk to Rogers, Officer Rogers, and she informed us that they had been CT'd from Publix. For some reason we couldn't pull it up until she told us, and she told us where to find it at. So we knew the night before we saw them at Publix. They were sitting on the sidewalk on a bench right in front of the Publix. So we knew we could 10-15 off of that. So when we went up there, I'm sorry to backtrack, Jerry had not been CT'd, it was just Lois.
Okay.
So that is why we did not arrest him. So we arrested Lois. I did while she was in the car. Officer Leonard was in the car.
Why was Officer Leonard in the car, do you know?
I think she was just handling admin stuff inside the vehicle.
Okay.
And Officer
Solid.
Salas was there. So we were handling the situation. She was doing something administratively in the vehicle. So I made the arrest, walked her back to the car. As I was putting her in the car, she got 1 foot into the back of the patrol vehicle and she just like dropped, you know, she just like dropped her body weight and then said that she'd been hurt. I'm not a doctor, I don't know. I don't know. But obviously before that I searched her. So I searched her, took the scarf off of her hat. I obtained her purse that was in her cart, and I got her phone and a $20 bill, put it all inside of her purse, put that in the back of the car, and then I think I did that at some point, I don't know when. I think I put her in the car and then got all of her stuff. Okay. From there we transported her to the jail. At the jail she was refused. She said that her ribs had been broken either by me. At one point I know she said it was me, and I know at one point she said her husband, or Jerry, had hit her in the ribs earlier at some time. So throughout the night I'd heard both of those accusations. Yeah. I hope I didn't break her ribs. I was very careful with her. I didn't shove her in the car. I was very careful with her.
I watched the body cam, but I don't think you have anything to do with that.
Okay. So once she was brought in, she was refused by the nurse. And
do you know what the nurse said? Were you there when that occurred?
I was at the computers, kind of starting all the paperwork while she was, I guess, just coming back in. I don't know where she came from or what she was doing, but I was kind of focused on like the admin stuff of getting the paperwork done and getting out of there. We were coming up on the end of shift, so I was just speeding things up.
Trying to get back.
But I did see the part where he was like, no, she's being refused, and Leonard became more questionable. You know, she was just like, why is she being refused?
Okay. And
she was pretty upset. This has been going on for so long. They've been refusing. I'd say, 2 or 3 out of 10 people get refused by us, and I think that was kind of like just like a final straw for her.
What else did she say?
She was just, I don't remember the verbiage exactly. I just know that she was really upset. She was kind of just questioning how can you tell if her ribs have been broken? Aren't you a nurse? You should be able to tell if she's fit or not unfit to be here. Just by someone saying that they're hurt doesn't mean that they can just get out of jail, just by saying certain things. So it was not that exact verbiage, but it was along the lines of that.
Okay. Did she cuss?
I don't know.
Okay.
I would honestly tell you if I knew. The verbiage again, I was just trying to do my job and do the admin paperwork and get out of there. I was right next to her for part of it, like right next to her, but I don't remember exactly what she said.
Okay. When you went and put Lewis Howard back in the car and came in there was a deputy standing here, and she was standing right here.
Yeah, so he was from my point of view, he was on the left, and she was on the right.
Right.
And I believe those two know each, like they're kind of like not friends, but they know each other, and they're on good terms. And she was just expressing how upset she was about it. And he was like, "I get it, but it's not, it's not on me. It's not up to him. I totally get that.
Okay. All right. Do you know who she was on the phone with when you came back into the jail? She was on the phone with somebody talking.
Probably Sergeant Ayers.
Okay.
Just letting him know that he got refused or she got refused.
Okay. Where did the idea of dropping Lewis Howard off at the front of the jail come from? Do you know?
I personally came up with that.
Okay.
I think I just kind of mentioned it at one point, and I had done it before.
Who'd you do it with before?
I remember his name, but he was someone that we arrested for possession of meth out here in front of the PD. Brought him up there, and they refused him because of his high blood pressure for the second time.
So you were with Leonard on?
Yes.
Okay.
Second refusal, and we told them, we were like, we're gonna put him right in front of the jail. We're just gonna put him right in front of there.
Okay.
And they're like, okay. So we drove him around, dropped him off, and he walked along his way.
Okay. Did you hear any of the jail staff say or instruct her not to put or take the Miss Lewis Howard to the front of the jail.
Less of a demand, but more of like a plea, like please don't do that.
Okay.
Please consider subscribing.
Okay, so this is what I need to explain to you. Regardless, she's your FTO. She makes the decisions, whether it was your idea or not. You leave an officer and an ambulance with a guy, old Jerry Jones, whatever the heck his name is, for heart pain. We've got a medical professional here refusing a female into the jail because of possible broken ribs. And we put her in a parking lot, a dark parking lot. We don't take her inside, we don't call an ambulance, we don't stay with her till someone gets there. That's the issue. Do you see what I'm saying? We've got an ambulance and an officer here. We don't have that here. And that's a concern. We can't just drop people, especially mentally handicapped, female, elderly female. And this is the way it's been put to me, and I believe this, but would I drop my grandmother off at that jail parking lot knowing what comes in and out of that jail? No, I wouldn't. Not just to sit there and wait for somebody to come get her. Most people would say, oh, well, they're safe, I don't know. At 1 o'clock in the morning, I don't know if that lady's safe in that parking lot. I can't make that determination, but at the end of the day, we know that she's homeless. We get that. We know that she puts her own self at risk, as it is anyways. But, and we know she abuses the system. Unfortunately, that's a part of it. But we still have to do what we've got to do, and we've got to do it the right way every time. Does that make sense?
I understand. You're
an FTO. You're learning the way we do things here. If you see this is how we're doing it, you're going to do it that way. I mean, why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? And most people think this area is the most safe area. This isn't Cobb by any means. It's not like you're getting dropped off in the front of the Cobb's, ABC, which I promise you, put that there.
What we would do at Cobb.
Okay.
If they have something that refused, we didn't transport them anywhere else. We just drop them off in front of the jail. Yeah. But it was rare that we got refused, though. I had never seen it like it is here, where it's like every other person.
It's getting refused.
But
this is a Shields of Shame exclusive.
But the issue is her behavior. That's not acceptable behavior. I mean, would you think that's acceptable behavior for an FTO, for someone who's going for, their supervision? I mean, honestly, do you think that's acceptable?
No.
I think
that she'd been
enough.
dealing with it enough, way more than I had. That was my second time dealing with her.
Right.
That may have been her 100th time. I don't know. Maybe that was just her final straw, and that was it.
And I get it, but we don't get to be that way. We gotta keep it cool every single time. And if we can't, hey, you handle her. Let me just go outside and let me cool the heck off. I've had to do it as a supervisor because trust me, there's been times where I could lose my job over something. I mean, that still happens day to day. We're touch and go here.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is, but we've got to do better. We've all got to do better, including her. So that's about all the questions I have for you. I didn't make her who she is, but I had a part in it, so I know she's good. And I know that this was just a mistake, and this is something that happens, and it is what it is, but when you're honest, we can come back from a lot. And I've got all the faith in the girl, so I don't...
Have you already talked to her?
I can't share that.
Oh, okay, sorry. I didn't mean to try to pry into anything.
No, you're fine. It's okay. It's not a problem. But she's a good girl. She'll be all right. So. She's a good girl. She'll be all right. All right. Today's date is July 21st, 2021. The time now is 4:52 p.m. And the room is myself, Sergeant Tiffany Cromer, and Officer Logan Overbay in reference to IA 047. Okay. Before I get into anything, since this is actually a different IA that spawned from the previous one that I had you come in on, I am going to give you a new Garrity warning, okay?
Okay.
Alright, So again, let me just explain to you that this is a separate internal affairs investigation from 033. This is now 047. So that being said, I do have some questions for you regarding this internal affairs investigation, and it again stems from the previous one that occurred that was over the May 21st incident involving Officer Leonard in the jail and Miss Howard. So, just going back to the 21st, okay, that night when y'all left the jail, there was a phone call made between Officer Leonard and Sergeant Ayers. Are you familiar with that phone call?
I didn't know if it was Sergeant Ayers or Lieutenant Campbell. It was one of those two.
Okay.
Someone in command.
Okay, all right.
For sure.
Do you remember any of that conversation? I know.
I know that Leonard was going to be giving, or what did give her, like, her intentions after leaving the jail, which was like, hey, you know, she was mad, but she was like, you know, we're going to go around the side, you know, the front of the building, drop her off, and we're going to meet tonight.
Okay.
I think it was along the lines of that.
And was that the conversation that happened at the jail? Or which conversation are you talking about?
That was over the phone.
Okay, and that was inside the jail?
Inside the jail with either Sergeant Ayers or Lieutenant Campbell, whoever was in charge that night.
Okay. So I'm talking about a separate conversation when y'all left the jail and we're coming back here to the PD and y'all are in the car together.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember her getting on the phone then? Okay.
No.
When you got back here to the PD, do you remember her being on the phone, putting anyone on speaker, having a conversation?
I think she was talking to Ayers at that point.
Okay, all right. Do you remember any of that conversation? Remember her telling them anything about the incident that occurred, that had just occurred, anything like that? I'm okay with silence if you want to just think for a second.
Yeah, because I don't want to give you any wrong information.
No,
But I remember her definitely, now you say being on speaker. I remember she was on speakerphone with either, like I said, Sergeant Ayers or Lieutenant Campbell. But I'm kind of guessing here, but she may have just said, like, hey, this is what we did. And kind of laid out everything that happened.
Okay. Did y'all meet with Ayers here before y'all left that night? I think you were maybe getting your stuff out of your car.
No,
like, pulled up.
I remember we did not meet anybody before we left.
You didn't meet anyone before you left? Did you?
I don't think so.
Did you see Ayers before you left?
I didn't. I may have been let off before her because we were
When y'all got back here that night, do you remember anything of that? Were you getting your stuff out of the car? I mean, what do you remember anything from the point when y'all got back here? What do you remember about that?
Like verbal discussions, nothing. At this point, like this late in the game, I don't remember hardly any of that. Had it been like brought up like a day or two after, I'd be like, oh yeah, this totally happened. But at this point, if I say anything, it's gonna be a guess, not like anything that I actually heard.
Maybe this may help you, I don't know, but it's my understanding that he came here to the PD and did ask for y'all to download your body cameras. Do you remember downloading your body camera when you got back here that night?
Of course, that's what I always do.
You do? Okay. Did Leonard tell you to do that? Do you remember? Or did you just come in and download it?
Always. I think whenever I come in the doors, I always put my body cam on the thing to be downloaded. So, yes, I did do it, but not intentionally. Like, oh, I need to download this because I've been told to, or for this reason. I remember just always downloading my stuff whenever I come in.
Okay. All right. If you will just take a second and think back, and if you can remember anything from the time that you got here, whether it's unloading the car, what happened at that point, just try to jog your memory as best as you can.
I know that I may have been running over hours, so they wanted to get me out of here. I remember coming back, putting my body cam on the porter maybe, and then kind of like being like not rushed out of here, but like, hey, you're over on hours, let's get you out of here.
And that was from Leonard? Do you remember if that was from her?
No, I don't remember who it was from. I just, whenever I'm told like you have your hours, like hop on out of here. So.
Okay, all right. When y'all were in that car on the way back here, you said that you thought she was on the phone with Ayers or Lieutenant Campbell. Do you remember why she called them?
No, I just know that she either made a phone call while we were in the jail or while we were in the car, or both. And during both those times, she was explaining what was going on. I think while in the jail, obviously, it was like, hey, she's being refused. And I think when we were in the car, it may have been like, this is what we've done.
Okay.
We're heading back now.
Do you remember any of that conversation?
I do not. I just know generally that's what was said. Hey, this is what happened. This is what we're doing. Heading back.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, at this time, I believe that's all the questions I'm going to have for you.
Okay.
I may have further questions, but at this time, this is it. Do you have any questions for me?
I just like kind of concerning. Like this is, in my eyes, like this is it's not something I would have thought would have been like a problem at all.
Okay, so, and this is essentially all I can tell you, but another IA stemmed off of that, and that's where we're at now. The other IA is in the works of being completed. I mean, it's just something else occurred involving someone else.
Not at the jail or anything. This is like a separate entire.
Same situation, just different. That's all I can really say on it. But again, if you would, just please don't talk to anybody. Don't say anything.
No one's asked me. No one's even been curious enough to even ask me about it. So it's been really easy not like.
Haven't to say anything.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Today's date is May 24th, 2021. The time now is 9:57 a.m. In the room is myself, Sergeant Tiffany Cromer, and Officer Aaron Leonard in reference to an internal affairs investigation interview. Okay. All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and go in depth into more of kind of what this is about. All right. On May the 21st, it's my understanding that y'all were dispatched, is that correct, to the Publix where
Yes.
Lewis Howard and Jerry Jones were?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Once y'all got to the jail, there was a situation that occurred there at the jail. All right, so that's what this internal affairs investigation is about. It's a situation as to what occurred from the time you arrived to the jail and then from the time that you left Lewis Howard, where you left her. Okay. So that's what this is about. Now, what I want for you to do is start to finish, upon getting dispatched, run me through the entire thing.
Okay. So we got sent to the Publix for Jerry and Lois. I guess Publix employees were concerned that they shoplift, so they called us out there for them.
Okay.
I was informed that there was a criminal trespass order for Lois only, not Jerry, from the Publix property, and we had been called out to her twice in addition the night before.
Okay.
Where we couldn't find that criminal trespass order, but another officer had a picture of it on the phone. So we went out there and we immediately, Officer Overbay put Lois under arrest for the criminal trespass.
Okay.
I was issuing Jerry, they were both going to get citations for the city ordinance of loitering, because now they're raising suspicion that the store's property is going to get stolen.
They were both going to get citations for the city ordinance of loitering, because now they're raising suspicion that the store's property is going to get stolen.
By them hanging around there when they're all closed. So I issued Jerry a citation. Officer Overbay put Lois in handcuffs, searched Lois, put her in the back of my car.
Okay.
I went over to give Jerry his citation. He was signing the citation. And then I heard Lois scream, so I turned around, but Officer Salas was there as well, so he went over to help Officer Overbay. So Jerry signed a citation. I went back to the car, and then all of a sudden Jerry was asking for an ambulance to go to the hospital. So I went back to Jerry, and I very firmly, and probably not as nice as I should have been, told him that he can't just choose, because he asked me originally to go to jail with Lois.
Okay.
So I told him, you can't just choose to go to jail. And then you can't just choose to go to the hospital every time you can't find somewhere to stay. Because they had just done the same thing the night before after a taxi was called out to them, and then they refused to get in the taxi. And they had also done that previously with day shift officers. So I told him that about the misuse of 911 very firmly, explained it to him that he can't just choose to go to the hospital if he has no issues. He can't just choose to go to jail. Just because Lois is going to jail. And so he said he was okay with that, whatever. I think he ended up going to the hospital. I'm not sure because Sal stayed with him while we transported Lois.
Okay.
So we transported Lois to the jail. The whole time, I can't remember exactly what she was saying in the back of the car, but it was about her not doing anything wrong. So we get to the jail. Officer Overbay takes her into the jail.
Okay.
Well, I write her citation for loitering.
All right.
So he's in the jail, and she wasn't crying or anything. And then I walked in the jail, and the nurse was refusing her already.
Okay. All right.
And
so
that couldn't have been.
The nurse refused her?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that couldn't have been more than like maybe 2 or 3 minutes of her being in the jail that he already said she needed to go to the hospital. So
why did they refuse her?
Because she said she had a broken rib.
Okay.
And she had just been to the hospital the night before. And according to Jerry, they walked in the hospital and then they walked out and never got seen.
Okay.
So I asked the nurse, I asked her why he refused her. And he said, because she has a broken rib.
Okay.
And sorry.
It's okay.
You know, I shouldn't have been as mad as I was.
Just breathe. It's okay.
So I told him, I said, she's not going to go to the hospital. She went to the hospital last night. There's nothing wrong with her.
Right.
She's fine. This is what she does. And so, because either the corporal or the sergeant that was there was like, well, if you're refusing her, they have to refuse.
Okay, just calm down. It's all right.
So the deputy, basically they have to refuse her if the nurse says they have to refuse her.
Okay.
So he refused her based on the consensus that she said she had a broken rib and needed to be evaluated. Okay. So I told the deputy, I said, this is bullshit.
Okay.
And I said that a few times, that it was bullshit, and I explained to him, I'm like, this is what she does. She doesn't want to be here. She says she has a broken rib. There's nothing wrong with her. She's fine. Right. She never said anything about a broken rib or anything until the nurse was looking at her. Then all of a sudden she had a broken rib. So the nurse wouldn't take her.
Okay.
Which, I think I was just fed up with the nurse refusing them for ridiculous reasons, because a week or two before we brought somebody who was so drugged up on Ativan she couldn't stand up, and they took her. And so just because she says I have a broken rib, you don't take her. There was nothing wrong with her prior to that. So then Lois started crying after she was being taken out of handcuffs.
Okay.
So I told her, I said, stop your crocodile tears. You're not staying here. You're getting what you want. Like, you're not staying in jail. So they took her out of handcuffs. I told her to get her purse. Officer Overbay took her back out to the car. I guess she had made a comment about Jerry. She said, Jerry, she did nothing wrong. Jerry's a bad man. She never does anything wrong. She's a good Christian woman. She didn't know who I was. She was fine.
Okay.
So Officer Overbay took her back out to the car, and I looked at I was talking to, I don't know if he's a sergeant or a corporal, but his name starts with an I.
Alright.
I told him, I was like, this is bullshit. I was like, something needs to change. Like, they're getting refused all the time for ridiculous reasons. This is bullshit. And I made a comment, and I know I shouldn't have, about the nurse not being a real nurse, and this is why he's in a jail. This is why he's in a jail, and whoever I was talking to said that nothing's going to change unless the bosses talk to the bosses. So I said, that's fine, because every time y'all refuse someone for a bullshit reason, it goes straight up the chain. Because I know before someone else got refused for something, and Yurkovsky said that from now on, every time they get refused, it's just going to get sent up, because it's getting ridiculous. We can't bring anyone in jail. There's no uniformity in who they refuse. And so it's like, we can't really go out and do our job, because they're just not going to take them when they get there. And so I was just frustrated, and then I made a comment. The nurse wouldn't even look me in the eyes, and apparently they're not allowed to look us in the eyes, which I don't know if that's true, because I've had other ones look me in the eyes when I'm trying to figure out why they're refusing them, because there's nothing wrong with them.
Why can't the nurse look you in the eyes?
Whoever I was talking to said that they're not supposed to.
Okay.
And so Officer Overbay had brought Lois Howard back out, and then another deputy came out, and I was talking to him. I'm like, this is bullshit. I was like, she does this every time.
1 second. Hold on. I need you to be able to breathe.
So I was talking to another deputy. I'm like, this is bullshit. Like, this happens all the time.
Okay.
Like, they're refusing them for no reason at all. She's perfectly fine. So then I guess she made a comment to Overbay about wanting a ride to Jasper. But he said we couldn't drive her to Jasper. And I believe that's based off the fact that she was just provided a ride all the way to Jasper within the past couple weeks. And they chose to come back. So she said, that's fine, my sister will pick me up and bring me to Jasper. So we left her at the front of the jail. And that was under my, and I explained to the deputy, I said, well, I'm going to drop her off at the front of the jail because she's not going to go to the hospital. She never said she wanted to go to the hospital. She wanted to go back to Jasper. And we'll drop her off at the front of the jail, and then when she calls back, the county's going to have to come out and figure that out. And I know I shouldn't have done that. That's on me. So then we left her, we dropped her off at the front of the jail where like the sidewalk area is, that the front office is. And then I guess she called back when we got back here and said that we broke her ribs and wanted to go to the hospital.
Was she still at the jail when she called?
Apparently she walked across the street to the animal shelter.
Okay.
And that's where she called.
Okay.
And that's all. I only know that because Ayers had called me and said that he wanted to know if our cameras were downloaded, and I said they were still downloading, and apparently she was saying that we broke her ribs, when she had just told us that she just said it was Jerry when we were in the jail.
Okay. All right. You said that Lois said her sister could come and pick her up.
Yeah, she told Officer Urbe her sister was going to pick her up and bring her back to Jasper.
Okay. Do you know if she made contact with her sister at all?
I have no idea.
Do you know if she has a way of making contact?
She had her phone with her.
Okay, all right. So, when you were speaking to them, there was a conversation that you were having. It was after Overbay had placed Lois back in the vehicle. He comes back in the jail, and you're standing right there at the door. Mm-hmm. And you said something, this is bullshit, I'm just going to drop her off at the front of the jail. Who were you on the phone with?
Ayers,
okay.
Because he had called. Yeah, he had called and I told him, I was like, they're refusing her. And he was like, well, and I was like, well, this is bullshit. There's nothing wrong with her. I'm just going to bring her to the front of the jail.
Okay. And what did he say?
I honestly can't remember what he said after that.
Right. And so, did they instruct you not to drop her off at the front of the jail?
Yeah.
Okay.
He advised against it because then he'd have to tell his lieutenant why we dropped her off at the front of the jail.
Okay.
Or something along those lines. I don't remember his exact wording.
Okay.
And that's when I told him that we bring her to the front, we'll drop her off there, and that way when she calls back, the county will have to respond out there.
Okay. Was there anyone in the front lobby? Did she go, did y'all take her in the lobby?
Mm-hmm.
So you just left her there on the sidewalk?
Left her on the sidewalk to call her sister.
Okay, was there anyone around? Anyone around there?
When we had pulled back up to the front, there were a couple people I guess a guy was getting released maybe, because there was someone walking out of the front.
Okay, alright. Did y'all request EMS to come to the jail at any point?
No.
Okay. Did the nurse staff request to have EMS come?
No. The nurse just told us she couldn't stay at the jail. She had to go to the hospital to get evaluated before she could be accepted at the jail.
Okay.
And we tried to take pictures of her bruises, and she said, I don't even have any, or I don't know where they are. She had no bruises for broken ribs or anything.
Okay.
And his paper said that he refused her based off her saying, I have a broken rib, and that she had bruise on her eye, but it was her mascara had been smeared all over the bottom of her eye. Because I saw that when I first looked at her, it wasn't a bruise, it was her makeup was all jacked up.
Okay, it was all over her eye. Okay, alright. Why didn't you call an ambulance to the jail?
I don't have a reason.
In order to keep you from having to transport. I mean, I know that they're right there. You know what I mean?
She never told us she wanted to go to the hospital. She said that her sister was going to pick her up from Jasper. The only time she ever talked about a broken rib was to the jail nurse. She never told us she had a broken rib. When we tried to take pictures of her, she said she didn't know what it was.
Okay.
And that's when she said that her sister was going to pick her up to bring her back to Jasper, was when we were at the front of the jail.
Was there... Alright, so with Jerry, y'all called an ambulance and Salas stayed there.
Yeah, because he said he needed to go to the hospital because he was having heart pain.
Okay. Do you see the similarity here? We've got an ambulance and an officer staying with this person, and they're having heart pain. We just left a jail where a nurse staff refused Lois Howard, and we're dropping her off in a parking lot.
Yeah.
Do you see the issue we have here?
Yes.
That's why I'm saying I know we work together on the road. It's common practice. If someone's having a medical issue, take them, drop them off at the hospital.
See, we were told to ask them, do they want to go home or the hospital?
Okay.
That we can't force them to go to the hospital if the nurse refuses them, even if the nurse says they have to go to the hospital.
Right.
We were told to see if they want to go home or the hospital. So she never said she wanted to go hospital when she said her sister
Who
would
told you that? They to go home or go to the hospital?
Supervisors.
Do you know which ones? Who?
Lieutenant Campbell. But I think that stemmed from an incident where the jail refused someone and they just brought him back to the hospital, but then they raised hell at the hospital because they didn't want to go to the hospital. And so it came down to, if they're not in our custody, then
You have to take them to the same place.
yeah.
That's
I
what it
understand we
comes
can't
down
leave
to.
them there, but
Right.
we can't force them to go to the hospital.
Okay. That's what it comes down to, a safe place. My concern, Liz Howard is not of sound mind. We all know that.
Not at all.
And if she's complaining of something medical, we have to make sure she's okay. And dropping her off in the parking lot's not the way to go.
I understand.
All right. My next question is the body cameras.
Yes.
I have never seen so much craziness. Before y'all even leave the parking lot to transfer Lois, you deactivate your camera. Why?
When we left, what parking lot?
The Publix parking lot.
I've always just shut it off when I get in the car with any transport because the in-car one's recording both front and back.
The problem is there's no in-car of that transport that I can find. Pulling up to the ADC, yeah, it's on there, but it's not on anywhere. That's why I'm asking.
It should have been on the whole time because if I remember correctly, I turned it on when Overman got out of the car because he forgot to activate the in-car camera.
When?
When we pulled up to Publix.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Please consider subscribing.
And as far as I know, it wasn't shut off the whole time that we were transporting Lois. So it shouldn't have been shut off until we get to the ADC.
Maybe there's something wrong with downloading. Maybe while you're here, there's things to do, but I haven't been able to locate that.
Okay.
All I've been able to find is y'all coming up to the gate, coming in, and then it shut off before y'all go in. Have you ever activated it again upon going into the jail?
Only if they're disorderly.
Okay.
Or there's something further that would need to be.
Okay.
Gosh.
From now on, that thing stays on until you leave that jail.
Okay.
That's how that works. That's how that goes.
Okay.
All right. Did you see any bruises on Lois Howard?
No.
Okay.
Overbay even took a picture to attach the report of the alleged bruised ribs.
All right, I saw that. Where's Overbay's report?
I don't believe he did one.
Okay, why didn't he do one? You're his FTO, why didn't he do one?
I never instructed him to do one.
Okay, why?
I don't have a good reason. I figured just
Because he did everything when it came down to Lois Howard.
Yeah.
Why isn't it documented? If he's the one that handcuffs her, if he's the one that puts, or puts her in the truck, pats her down the whole 9 yards, now she's saying it's officers that's hurt her. I think that report's probably a very potent, something that we need, something that should have been done regardless of we're sitting here or not.
I agree.
He's got to do those.
Yes.
He's got to make sure he does I don't care if it's on a simple informational, covers you regardless.
I understand.
Also, when you were talking to this gentleman, this sergeant or the corporal that starts with an I, have you had any previous issues with him before?
Never.
Okay.
I mean, we've had issues with the nurses refusing people, and I've always explained to him, I'm like, this is ridiculous. And he almost knew it was ridiculous because he kind of laughed about it. But I've never had any issues with him.
Have you ever had any issues with that nurse before?
I don't know if it's that one specifically, but I've had issues with them refusing people for really no reason at all.
Okay, all right. So what made you so mad What got you so amped up?
Because it's just a constant, like, there's nothing wrong with her.
It's okay.
Because then it was like...
This is a Shields of Shame exclusive.
I think it was just the final straw, because it's a constant thing with the nurses at the jail refusing people for... There's like no uniformity in what they refuse people for. It's like... They'll take someone with a blood alcohol at 0.26, but then they'll refuse someone that's a 0.17. Like, there's no uniformity between them ever. And it's frustrating on the road because, like, you want us to go out here and do our job and make these arrests and do these great things, but then we can't even really do our job because they're refusing them. And, like, I've physically watched a guy get wheeled in a wheelchair after he had a use of force in the county, and they took him. But then we bring someone and all she has to say is I have a broken rib and they can't take him. When 2 weeks before we brought in a 17-year-old girl that was so doped up on Ativan she couldn't stand up. They had to carry her into the jail and they took her. And then you have someone who's on a certain blood pressure medicine and they refuse them.
Okay. Is this the same personnel?
I think it's the same jail or like nurse company. It's always the nurses that refuse them. The actual deputies don't ever refuse them.
Okay, so it's not the deputies refusing them, it's the nurses.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's where the frustration
But
was.
the deputies have to go off of what the nurse
Yeah,
are
the
saying.
deputies can't keep them. If the nurse says we have to refuse them.
Okay, alright.
Like, if there was something legitimately wrong with her, I could get it.
Mm-hmm.
But just because I say I have a broken rib, that's how I'm going to get out of jail?
Okay.
That's why I think it was just the final straw, because it's like ongoing all the time. Like, we had a guy...
Okay, but see, the thing is, Leonard, you can't talk to these people like this.
I know.
The bullshit, and I'm gonna drop them off at the jail just to spite them. We can't have this type of behavior. That's the problem here.
I know.
I don't care how upset you get or how mad you get, and I've told you this more than once. You cannot act like this. You can't do it. What it comes down to is we depend on that jail.
Yeah.
To house these people. I understand we have a tough time getting them in there. I can understand that can be frustrating. But you can't allow it to affect you the way that you did that night.
I understand.
That's something we cannot have again. Okay? Because if not, you're not going to be allowed to go back to that jail.
I understand.
They're talking about not allowing you to go back to that jail. Do you understand that?
I understand.
And that's an issue.
Yes.
And we can't have that. All right. Overbay. When he was in the jail, did he speak to any of the staff there? I mean, other than like, here's the stuff, blah, 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 blah. Was he involved in the communication that you were?
Not that I recall. I don't know. He was only in there by himself for a couple minutes before I walked in, but I don't believe he had anything to say.
Okay.
I know that when I was in there and he wasn't saying anything.
Okay. Did Ayers talk to anyone in the jail that you know of? Did you hand the phone off to somebody? Did you?
No, not on my phone.
Okay.
I don't know if he got a call or anything after we had left that morning.
And who all did you deal with in the jail? You dealt with the nurse?
The nurse.
Okay. Sergeant I or Corporal I?
It's like Embrigongo, something like that. And then those are the only main two, and then Deputy CRC had walked out just as I was about to leave. But he didn't really say anything.
Okay. Was anyone else in that room other than who you just stated?
I don't remember if the two female booking deputies were still there or not, but they're the ones that had originally patted Lois down and searched her while the nurse was in there. I don't know their names.
Okay.
It's an older blonde lady and then a brown haired lady who's really tall and skinny.
Okay. All right. So you say that Ayers told you that they went back out with her after all this occurred?
When me and Overbay were about to pull out of here to leave, Ayers called me wanting to know about our body cameras or whatever, and I guess dispatch called him to tell him that Lois called back to say that she needed to go to the hospital because we broke her ribs.
Okay. That y'all needed to go back?
No, that The deputy or the dispatch called Ayers to tell Ayers that she needed, or Lois called back saying that she needed an ambulance because
Okay.
we broke her ribs.
Alright.
No one was asking anyone to go back.
Alright.
And then he said that she was at the animal shelter.
Do you know if county went out there with her?
I'm not sure if county did. I'm sure an ambulance went and picked her up.
Do you remember what you specifically stated as far as this is bullshit? Do you remember what you said?
I think I just kept saying that this is bullshit, there's nothing wrong with her, she's fine, this is what she does, she doesn't want to stay here, so she's going to tell you she has to go somewhere else. And
Okay.
I think that was the gist of it.
Is this the first time you've ever dropped somebody off at the front of the jail like this?
No, I dropped off another guy that they refused for high blood pressure, but his ride was already at the Ollie's where I had stopped the car. He had already contacted someone before I left
Before you left
the jail.
jail? Okay. So you dropped them off. You dropped him off at the front of the jail.
At the same place,
And the guy
yeah.
came from Ollie's to get
That's
him?
where his ride was. I didn't wait for his ride.
Okay. All right. Do you remember that guy's name?
Terry Logan, I think he still has a warrant out. He's the one they refused because his blood pressure medication wasn't a medication that the jail has. That's what I'm telling you. I think he was prescribed like Eliquis or something, and the nurse said that he needed to come back with his prescription. And so they refused him. And then I actually ran into a Pickens County guy the other day, and they're looking for him because the address he gave us was a bogus address.
Okay. So that was confusing. Okay. Where did the idea of dropping him off at the front of the jail come from?
Well, I did it with that first guy just because he lived all the way up in Jasper and his ride that was already right there. So I just did that.
So you just chose to do that again?
Yeah.
Okay. What time was it that morning? Do you remember?
It was probably Lois? Probably 1:30 or so. Maybe a little after 1:30 because we left right after that call. We went home.
All right. Did you specifically go out with her the night before?
Yeah. Or me and Overbay got called out to her the night before. They were wanting a ride back to
Where were they
Jasper
there?
at Publix. They were sitting on the bench right in front of Publix. So we went out with her before, explained to her a taxi's on the way. They agreed that they were going to get into the taxi. Both of them were on board. They were going back to Jasper. They weren't coming back. And then I guess we had that thing where the guy busted out the windows over on Myra Place. So while we were over there, dispatch went back over the radio saying that the taxi driver was calling because they were refusing to get in the taxi, even though they already had said they wanted the taxi and that they were going to get in the taxi. And so then Ayers told the taxi driver just to leave. So then maybe not even an hour or so later, Crow got called back out there because now they both needed to go to the hospital. And they were still in front of Publix when Crow went out there. And they both went up to the hospital. And I don't know how they got back over there.
Do you know who criminally trespassed her from Publix?
I believe it was Porter. And Rogers had the picture of it on her phone. Because on the way to... So the night before we tried to find it in the system, but I could only find 5 and none of them were for Publix. So then when we got called back out there this night, I had dispatch ask the employees if they wanted them criminally trespassed. And then Rogers... they were on a 54 person at the Walgreens, so we stopped there just on the way, and Rogers had the picture on her phone that said that they were criminally trespassed. So then I pulled up the case number in the ITI and was able to read where it was issued just to Lois, not to Jerry.
Okay. Do you know why it was only issued to Lois?
I think she was the only one on scene at the time.
That time?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Girl, I hated you sitting here in front of me.
I know.
I hate it. But we gotta do what we gotta do at the end of the day. The best thing is, a lot of times I already have the answers to a lot of these questions I'm asking you, so being truthful is always a good
Well, I'm
thing.
not gonna lie to you.
I know that. Thank you for answering my questions honestly. You know, sometimes it gets difficult. It's tough, I know. Trust me. Especially when you're having to deal with what you gotta deal with out there and then your own having to deal with it at the jail. I get it. But at the end of the day, you are an FTO
I know.
who just put in to be a supervisor.
And I'm better than this. And I
You
was
are better
frustrated
than
with
this.
myself. I just lost.
I know.
Like, I've never snapped on anybody. I was just like, it's like frustrating. Like, cause it's even more frustrating that they refuse people for us, but the county brings them in and they can't walk and they take them with open arms.
Okay.
And
Well, keep on. Sorry.
like, I've even had county people tell me that. Like, oh, we'll bring them in, it'll be fine.
Okay. All right. For right now, this is all the questions that I got for you.
Okay.
All right. It's going to take some time. This is not going to be over tomorrow. That's unfortunately, IAs take a little while. Okay. So, if I have any further questions for you, I will call you. If you need to come in, I'll have you come in. Keep working. You're not on admin leave. But again, let me be clear. You cannot speak to anyone other than who you're sitting in front of right now about this.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm talking Jack, and I know that's tough, but you can't. Only because
Yeah.
you can't talk to your supervisors, you can't talk to everybody, you can't talk to your coworkers. Look, and it's tough, and I'm sorry. But you talk to me, okay? Me. All right. Do you have any questions for me? Is there anything that you want to say that I have not covered here?
No, I just know I was in the wrong.
Well, you know what? That happens. I've been in the wrong too, okay? It happens. But the best thing is you're honest, and we can work with honesty. Does that make sense? Okay. Today's date is May 28, 2021. The time now is 2:43 p.m. In the room is Officer Aaron Leonard and myself, Sergeant Tiffany Cromer. This is in reference to 21 IA 035. Correction, 33. All right. I just have some follow-up questions from the IA that we previously spoke about. I do want to let you know that Gary still covered.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you want me to do another sheet, or are you good staying underneath this one? Okay. All right. In the video, when you make the comment, they're refusing Lois Howard for another bullshit reason, we're dropping her ass off in front of the jail. So when she calls again, it's the county's issue, not mine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You're standing in front of, I guess that's the sergeant, and there's you in the jail when you're having that conversation.
The one with the glasses?
Possibly.
Yeah.
He doesn't matter.
I think he's really the only one that I had a communication
Conversation
with
with.
about this specific thing.
Okay. You motioned to Officer Obey to turn off his camera. Why?
Oh, at that point I was talking to Circe, and that wasn't about this specifically. It was just about, I guess, my frustrations. At that point everything was already over.
Okay.
So that was just a normal, like a personal conversation, I guess. Not
Okay.
so much related to anything.
So since it was a personal conversation, you were wanting him to cut off his camera.
Yeah, just because it wasn't anything pertaining to, I think it was just me talking to him as like a friend, voicing frustrations.
Okay. Do you ever remember having a conversation with Campbell about not dropping off inmates in front of the jail?
I don't recall having a conversation with him
Okay.
about not doing it, because I know when I do it, I put in my reports that I do it, and no one's ever said anything about it.
Okay. Has anyone told you not to at any point?
Not that I recall, no.
To not drop? Okay.
Because I know when I do it, I put it in my report that they were released from my custody, and dropped him off at the front of the jail, and I mean, they get approved. No one's ever said, hey, don't do this.
This conversation that you were having on the phone in the jail, again, who were you on the phone with?
Sergeant Ayers is the only person that called me while I was in the jail.
Okay. That's all the questions I have right now.
Sergeant Brown over at the jail.
Hey, yes, sir.
Could you have a Canton supervisor give me a call at, I don't even know my own extension.
4200 maybe?
No, 4216 will work.
4216. I was trying to guess. Okay, I'll get the supervisor to give you a call.
Today's date is May 25th, 2021. The time now is 18:08 hours. In the room is myself, Sergeant Tiffany Cromer, and Sergeant Michael Imbriano with the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office. This is in reference to an internal affairs investigation and a witness interview. Okay, so I just want to make sure that we're both clear on why I'm here and what's the situation. It's my understanding on May the 21st, around 1:17 in the morning, Officer Leonard and her recruit, Officer Overbay, brought in a female, an elderly female named Lois Howard, who was sequentially rejected at minutes into the jail due to medical reasons, and they were rejected by the medical staff. If you don't mind, if you could just take me through start to finish that you made contact with them, and obviously when that contact ended, just tell me about it.
Initially, I heard Deputy Vasquez call for a nurse to come to intake.
Okay.
And our standing order from the captain is that currently, if medical staff is needed in intake, then a sergeant or above has to respond with the nurse.
Okay.
Just because there's been issues in the past, and
yes.
kind of smooth things over if possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I went out with the nurse. Generally, I try to see if there's anything that pops out at me with the incoming. Is there any obvious distress or anything like that? I could tell she was elderly. She was leaned over. She was complaining about her ribs. The nurse went over. He said he saw some bruising on her face and on her leg. She said that she thought she may have broken some ribs or something. And he said, okay, I want her to be checked out at the hospital. And
Can you tell me that nurse's name? Do you know it?
It was in the memo, but I can't.
Okay, I'll check back on it. Okay.
But I believe Overbay was an intake at that time, and I could see that Leonard was outside. I think I met her at the I-100 intake door and said that she was being refused. Leonard conveyed to me that Lois Howard was a frequent flyer that they dealt with frequently out on the street. They were always responding calls to her. She felt like Howard was probably shirking, or that may have been faking a medical problem, that she said she does that frequently and is always going to the hospital, abusing the ambulance services just to get rides, and that she was homeless. And I said something to the extent of, well, they're not going to accept her, they want to be checked out first. She got upset. Generally there's some kind of pushback, so it's just like water off a duck's back. So she said something to the effect of, well, I'm just going to take her around to the front of the jail. I'm going to do that from now on when I don't agree with medical refusing someone. I said, don't do that. And the bad part about it, I really like Leonard. And, you know, she's got kind of a personality, but I enjoy when she comes in. We generally get along pretty well. Whenever there's a refusal, the nurse signs the refusal, states the medical reason on the form. I make copies for the arresting officer if they want it. They co-sign, I sign it. We have copies that get sent up to jail administration. A copy goes in this book we keep in intake. And then I make a copy for medical staff if they want it. Typically, some do, some don't. But so I went out to the main booking area to make my copies. I talked to Lieutenant Strauss. I said, she's saying she's just going to drop her off in the front. We're refusing her. Just to give him a heads up. So I made my copies. I said, I'm going to go try to talk to her. So I went back out, gave her a copy. She was talking to Miss Howard at the time, I believe. And at that time, I can't remember if I had to go do something in GCIC and then come back out or something, but I believe I had to make copies in GCIC because our copier was down.
Okay.
So I came back out into intake. Wanted to try to talk her out of doing anything rash. I believe Deputy Cersei was out there at that time, and they had already, Vasquez and Penley, I think, had helped them load her into the patrol car. Cersei was out there talking to her. I was like, well, here's your copy, And I asked her not to drop them off at the front. She said, I'm going to drop her off at the front. And I said, please. I remember saying, please. I said, don't drop her off at the front. It's not good for anybody. I said, I don't want anybody to get in trouble over this. Let's calmer heads prevail, And she said, well, I'm going to do it. And I said, well, I can't control your actions. But, she's like, and then she said something to the effect of, well, I'll see you Monday. And I was like, okay. And I didn't think she would do it.
Right.
And then, so we went back to doing whatever. And then I believe Corporal Etheridge came in and said that Cersei was doing a 92 and saw, because they'd seen something on the camera. So he did a 92, he went up and didn't see her. And then as he was coming back in, he saw lights, and then he was like, what's going on? So he went and talked to EMS. And he was like, oh, there she is. She was right across the street.
Okay.
And so that's about the extent of it.
Okay. Was she cussing?
Not at me. She may have said something to Howard, like to the effect of, you do this all the damn time, or you got your way, or something. I can't remember. But she didn't cuss at me.
Okay.
But
Do you ever remember if she was on the phone at any point?
I believe she'd stepped out to call a supervisor at some point. Because typically when we refuse somebody, the arresting officer will call their supervisor and give them a heads up. And sometimes the supervisor will then call us. In this case, I don't believe they did. I contacted Sergeant Ayers around 3-something, just to give him a heads up of what had happened. He was aware that she had been refused. I don't think he was aware of the extent of what all went on, but I filled him in as best I could.
Okay, so when you contacted Sergeant Ayers, at what time you said you thought?
It was around 3:20, 3:30.
Okay. Did you say that, and just correct me, did you say that he was already aware of the refusal?
He was aware that she had been refused.
Okay.
This is a Shields of Shame exclusive.
Because I was like, hey, I don't know if you're aware, but we had a refusal earlier, and he mentioned her name, the name of Miss Howard. So.
Okay. And so did he specifically say, yes, I'm aware that she was refused, or did he just...
He may have just said that maybe he just knew that she had arrested Howard.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
But he knew who I was talking about.
All right. Were you standing there while she was on the phone? In the video, there's like a metal detector, and it's either you or it could be Cersei, I'm not sure, are standing here, and she's standing up against the wall, and she's on the phone with someone.
I may have been. I know she was on the phone at some point, but usually they step out, so.
Right.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
The reason I'm asking is because I'm trying to figure out who she was on the phone with.
Okay. Usually they call their supervisor.
I agree.
Yeah,
right.
but
that's what I'm just trying to figure out. So what does Cersei look like?
he's his hair's like grayer than mine. He's about my age.
Yeah, y'all look. I would. Yeah. Okay. All right.
I've got mine shows up balder on the camera, so
it's a sideways view, so we're good there.
Okay.
Okay. Let me think. At any point, did you make contact with Overbay? Did you ever see him speak, talk, make any actions? Okay. What did you kind of gather from him?
To me, he was like normal training. That usually they're
robot.
Right.
Do as told.
Yes.
I understand.
I don't recall him doing anything in particular that stood out.
Okay.
I believe he was trying to, when our deputies were aware of the refusal, I think he was trying to figure out handcuff her or not, or collecting her property, that type of stuff. But I was in and out somewhat, so I may miss something.
Okay. All right. Other than yourself and the other two deputies that I have already previously talked about and Cersei, is there anyone else in that situation that you think I would need to talk to?
I don't think any of the corporals came out.
Okay.
So it should be good.
Do you know if that nurse is here this evening?
Should be. They usually show up at 7, so he may not be here yet.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. That's fine. Okay. Well, at this time, this is really all the questions that I have for you, but I always like to ask prior to stopping the interview. Is there anything that you think may be vital for me to know that maybe I have not covered or I have not asked you so far?
For me, the main thing, I don't mind the pushback from officers or deputies. I view it as a give and take. In the end, the inmate's not coming in if medical refuses them. So
right.
It's not me, it's not the nursing staff, it's nothing personal.
Right.
But it's just we can't do it. So I expect them to get a little mad. So I take with a grain of salt anything she may have said that may have seemed disrespectful. My only problem is the liability she placed on us with the drop off. And day shift is not such a big deal, but 2 o'clock in the morning, generally, we've given people rides when they're released before, just because we don't want somebody to get run over by a car in the middle of the night.
That's absolutely correct.
So that was my only intention in submitting the memo, was like, hey, let's not do this anymore.
Right. This is, okay.
But,
that makes sense.
and I would like to say that I do think the world of her.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Today's date is September 29th, 2021. This is Monica Franklin, an investigator with Post. I'm returning a phone call to Gregory Ayers.
Hello?
Hello, I'm trying to reach Officer Ayers, please.
This is he.
Hey, sir, this is Monica Franklin, and you left me a message earlier today. I apologize for calling so late, but we were in a Zoom conference this afternoon.
No, ma'am, you're not bothering me.
So can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I've got your file up. I haven't gotten any paperwork from the Canton Police Department yet. So all I have right now is a blurb of what they told me happened, and that you had, and let me see, it shows that you, did you resign while under investigation?
Yes, ma'am, I resigned. Neither one of them sound good. I was under an internal investigation. It was after I met with Chief Merrifield at the very end of the investigation. And I went in, I met with him one afternoon. I went in the next morning and I asked him, because I felt in my heart that he was going to go with the deputy chief's recommendation for termination. I did not lie. That's what the whole thing was about. It says in the 45-page memorandum that the deputy chief felt they didn't know for sure because I didn't lie. I've been in law enforcement. If you've got any of my thing, I've done law enforcement for 25 years. I gave Bartow County 20 years of my life. I gave Canton 5 years of my life. I wasn't brought up to tell a lie. So that's the gist of what happened. I did not want me having it on my file that I resigned in lieu of termination. So I went in the next morning. I talked to the chief, and I asked him if he would accept my resignation. Before. So it was at the very end of the investigation. It wasn't right at the beginning. It wasn't in the middle. It was me standing up for me not lying. So that's the gist.
What were the allegations, or what were the specifics of what you lied about?
Okay. Like I said, I've done this. I've been in law enforcement 25 years. It started out as an internal investigation on an officer that was under me. She took an elderly female to the Cherokee County Jail for, I believe it was criminal trespass. the jail did not accept her. So this young female officer took it upon herself to make remarks back to a sergeant in the jail, and she dropped this elderly female off at the front of Cherokee County Jail. Now, with all that, my house, my dining room, my kitchen, my hallway going back to the bedrooms, and the bathroom of my house was flooded. This was on a Thursday night. I remember that because I've got teenage kids who I was picking up Friday. I don't know if you've ever smelt what wet floor smells like, but it's nasty. I don't. I'm sorry?
I said I'd probably agree with that.
So I took, and I had already bought bleach, one of those pump sprayers, fans, everything. My mind that Thursday at work was dead set on getting off at 6 a.m., coming home, spraying that bleach on my floor, putting those fans up, and trying to get my house as in as nice of order as I could get. So therefore, my mind, thinking back on it now, which I mean, hindsight's 20/20, I shouldn't even have worked because my mind was totally on getting through that shift, getting home, and not even going to bed, which I normally don't do anyways on my last day that I work, and getting my house in as good a shape as I could. Well, whenever that happened, I think, started at like maybe 1-something in the morning. I was told, and once I read the 45-page memorandum that's got bits and pieces of the 4 interviews that I was a part of.
Yes, sir.
And like I said, it started out on the officer that worked with me and for me.
So were you her direct supervisor?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And so it's 2 things, 2 policy violations, failure to act as a supervisor, which I take totally the blame for. And one, they asked me on all 4 interviews about what interaction me and the officer had. And there's a 13-minute conversation. I told them over and over and over, I don't remember. If she says that we had a conversation and this is what it's about, then that's probably correct. Do I remember it? No, I don't. And I told them that countless times. And the internal investigation, the sergeant over IA, would ask me about this conversation and about that conversation. And I told them. And it wasn't until the deputy chief asked me to read that 45-page memorandum that he typed up. And that brought to light. And whenever I had a meeting with him, I told him, I did what you asked. I read that. And it did shed light on some of the events that happened that night between me and the officer. I was trying to tell you before that, I don't remember. I remember seeing her outside in the parking lot. I don't remember talking to her while she was in the jail. Now, I did act after the sergeant in the jail called me and said, hey, this is what happened. This is what the gist of what the officer made a remark back to me. And I just wanted to let you know because I've got to send an email up to my chain of command. After I got off the phone with him, and I made notes of the gist of mine and his conversation. After that, I called my lieutenant at like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I said, hey, this is what's transpired. I just wanted to give you a heads up about it. And he said that his recommendation was that I email my captain. I asked him, I said, is it okay if I talk to him on the phone so I can make sure that, I let him know everything? And he said, yes, that'll be fine. At 7 a.m. that morning, I'm at home. I call my captain, and I let him know what happened. Neither one one of them felt like it was that big of a deal. I don't know what transpired between the sheriff's office and my supervisors after that. But like I said, shortly after that, I was called in because they had started an internal investigation on her.
Okay.
Which I was brought in because I was her supervisor.
What was her name?
Officer Leonard.
Leonard, okay. Has she been there long?
She had been there, I think, 2 years, maybe.
So she knew what
2 going on 3.
So she knew what the protocol and policies were regarding
Yes,
that.
ma'am.
Okay.
It was one of them where she's got the ability and the knowledge to be a top-notch officer. She's well educated, and they were like, "Well, you approved her report," and like I told them, that's on me. But between her and a couple of other officers, and I've got friends they're supervisors at the sheriff's office, and they've even said, "You know what? I've got officers the same way. I don't read their reports word for word because they always do a good job." Now, again, is that fall back on me? Yes, ma'am, it does. Okay. So, that falls back on me. I admitted to that.
Yes, sir.
But their thing is that they feel I was put on admin. I was called in towards the beginning of my shift, I think on a Friday, and I was told that they were starting an internal investigation on me, and it says in my on my admin leave memo that they feel like I was untruthful during my interview. And so I was on admin leave for weeks because they feel that I was being untruthful. And then they, of course, on the 45-page memorandum, it says that they found discrepancies or untruthfulness during my 4 interviews with the sergeant over internal affairs.
Okay.
And like I said, I don't lie. I told them, and I was as truthful as I knew to be. And for that, and I even told the chief the day before, whenever I talked to him, I told him, and I told my captain and deputy chief, I know after doing this for so long, you can't do that work, this kind of work, without your integrity. So 25 years, you can check my personnel file of 20 years at the sheriff's office. I was told, and by no means am I trying to boost anything about myself, because everything that you need to know is in personnel files at the sheriff's office and the police department. I've got letter of commendations. I've got lifesaver award. 20 years at the sheriff's office. There's nothing in my file.
Okay.
Especially nothing that is going to lead anybody to believe that I've told a lie about anything.
So let me ask you, what did they tell you specifically what they thought you were untruthful about?
The questions about the conversation with the phone calls between myself and Officer Leonard. They're saying that I wasn't coming forth with information. I wasn't answering truthfully to their questions because they find it hard to believe that I can't remember a 13-minute conversation that I had with Officer Leonard or a face-to-face conversation that I had with Officer Leonard at the police department. She had a training officer that said that we had a conversation at the police department. There was a training officer with her. The same training officer said that she had it on speaker whenever me and her had that conversation, when we had a 13-minute conversation. And I told them, and I was as truthful with them as I possibly could be, and I kept telling them, I don't remember a conversation. Of course, it's on my work phone.
Well, sir, let me ask, was she trying, I know because you said you read the report, you did not read the report before you signed off on it. Was she trying to sugarcoat what she had done at the jail in her report?
Ma'am, I didn't read her.
You didn't read it, so you...
I didn't. And like I said, that's totally on me. I didn't read her report because, like I said, she's well educated and she's got the ability to be a top notch.
Were they thinking you were trying to cover for her?
I don't know. I just know that they were saying that I was untruthful. They said that they found that I was being untruthful during questions that I was asked during my 4 interviews, which first started with Officer Leonard and then turned around and they started one on me because of me being untruthful. It says that what I violated was, both of them were policies on maybe the professionalism part of the Canton Police Department's policy. One was failure to act as a supervisor, and one for being untruthful. Hold on, I've got the 45-page memo.
Okay.
And like I said, if it'll expedite, because I went and talked to my old sheriff at Bartow County, and he's like, let me know whenever it all gets said and done, and, we'll go from there. Let's see, not that one. A request for an internal investigation on me. The date of the memorandum was July 19th. August 11th is the disciplinary recommendation that I got from the deputy chief. Let's see, it started on May 21st. July 19th is, I think, whenever it says that internal affairs investigation was being opened on me. Stems from previous investigation involving the unbecoming conduct and unsatisfactory performance of Officer Aaron Leonard on May 21st. After medical personnel within the jail refused admittance to an arrestee, the Officer Leonard transported to the jail. Sergeant Ayers was interviewed several times to provide further information. During Sergeant Ayers' interviews, it was determined that Sergeant Ayers may have been untruthful regarding the communications he had with Officer Leonard and Officer Ogilvie the night of the incident, and the level of his knowledge about the incident. Furthermore, he may have failed to act and perform his responsibilities as a supervisor upon learning of the incident along with Officer Leonard's actions. And then that's just a part of the front page. And I'm trying to find, it's got a summary of, I guess, where he listened to the recordings. And then at the end, the first paragraph, of course, it says this memorandum is advised you on making a disciplinary recommendation to the Chief, Stephen Merrifield, that your employment with the City of Canton Police Department be terminated for the reasons discussed herein. And I'm trying to, here it is. Code of Conduct, General Order 2.01, Responsibility of a Supervisor, 2.01.38, and Code of Conduct, General Order 2.01, Employees to be truthful, and that's 2.01.30.
Okay.
I've got the 45-page memo, and I've got the memorandum. I think this is where I was put on admin leave with pay. Yes, ma'am. I've got a notice.
I guess my thing is, what would there be to lie about? Because the initial investigation only involved the lack of supervision, which
All right, I'm gonna everybody that I've talked to, my best friend, I've explained this, like I said, after it was all over with, to the sheriff here, who I worked under for 16 out of my 20 years. I told him what had happened, and he's like, he seems like somebody's got a case of the, you know what, for you. He said, that's ridiculous. He said, he told me that he would probably write up his deputy, and he would have a meeting with the supervisor, and he would tell his sergeant or lieutenant that if they can't do a better job than that, he'll find somebody else that can. He said, and that would have been it.
And that was the deputy chief that said that, correct? Is that?
No, that's the sheriff.
Sheriff, okay. So he was referring to the deputy chief.
Deputy chief, it was his 45-page memorandum, and he recommended that I be terminated because of the 2 code of conduct policy violations.
Okay.
But like I said, I've talked to several supervisors and stuff, and ma'am, I don't know.
Well, I don't
know exactly why. I wish I did, because everybody that I've talked to had a hard time trying to figure out why. Unless part of my thing was Sheriff Reynolds, who's the sheriff for Cherokee County, called the chief, my chief.
Yes, sir.
And talked down to him, and that caused enough uproar to make an example out of me of how things were handled.
Okay.
Because like I said, for something like this, or I don't care how serious or how light it is, I'm not going to lie about anything, because I haven't lied in 25 years, and I'm sure enough not going to start over an officer dropping a lady off at the sheriff's office and anything like that.
Yes, sir.
Which, like I said, I'm not lying about anything anyway.
Well, I see that you've never had a post-investigation, so do you actually know what it entails?
What do you mean?
Do you know the process of what I'm going to have to collect all the information from your agency and put together a case file. And this case file will go before a probable cause committee that makes a recommendation on your certification. Okay. So you are afforded an opportunity, which I can't make you do, to write a written response to the investigation. And I try to have my people write one, because I've heard the probable cause committee actually say that if the officer doesn't care enough to write a written response, then it doesn't. They're not really worried about they don't care about the investigation. So what
you're saying is I need to type up a response to your letter.
No. Basically, what the written response is, and because they're going to see my summary. But if you send me a written response that's signed and notarized, I add that as an attachment, and then they can read in your words what happened. That gives you an opportunity to explain what happened, just like you did to me.
Okay.
And I would certainly encourage you to do that, but like I said, I can't make you do that.
No, ma'am, I totally understand, but like I said, the reason I went in the next morning is I had a gut feeling that the chief, and like I said, I've been around long enough doing this to know that I felt that there was no way that a chief would go against his deputy chief's recommendation. So after I got back home from meeting with the chief, and it really started to sink in, that's what I felt in my gut and my heart that I needed to do.
Okay.
Because I did not want to go down and have it in my record that I resigned in lieu of termination.
Yes, sir.
Like I said, neither one of them sound good. But I felt like resigning while under investigation, and the chief even told me that morning that, it was, I was doing this at the very end of the investigation.
Okay.
I mean, he did give me
So,
that much of a positive remark or
because
a
some
statement.
people, so yeah, make sure you document that, because a lot of times when it says resigned while under investigation, a lot of times they don't even get to conduct the investigation because the officers already resigned before it started.
No, ma'am.
And
No, ma'am. Like I said, I pushed this all the way to the end, to the point to where I wasn't going to have any wording of a termination in my file, because I went to work every day and I did the best that I possibly could. I did everything that I knew that I had to do to try to keep from making a bad mark on myself or the department or the sheriff. So I live by that every day, and as a supervisor, I instilled that into everybody that I come in contact or worked under me. I didn't, I don't.
Did you discipline this officer, Leonard, for what she did at the jail?
No, ma'am, because like I said, when it started, I told them, they never said anything. My lieutenant or my captain never said. But I take it back. This was on a Friday. This was on Friday morning whenever this happened. I was off the weekend. My lieutenant, now I can't remember what he said word for word, but he told me to let my captain know, and that me and him would start working on what needed to happen Monday whenever we come back, because we worked Monday and Tuesday. I was off Wednesday and Thursday. I was off Monday and Tuesday. We worked. That was our short week, so we worked Wednesday night and Thursday night, so I was off that weekend. So to the best, I can't quote because it's been that long, but not word for word, my lieutenant said, "Well, we'll just take care of it and do whatever what they want us to do." Speaking of the captain on up, what we need to do come Monday morning.
So you understood that they were going to bypass you and they were going to handle the situation with Officer Leonard.
Or whenever I returned back to work Monday, me and the lieutenant would sit down and do it all.
Okay.
And start the discipline process, or check it, look into it further, and then go from there. But that never happened.
Okay.
This is a Shields of Shame exclusive.
So I never was, like I said, it was the 2 policy violations: failure to act as a supervisor, and then to be truthful. Officer to be truthful.
Okay. Well,
it was both code of conduct on those 2 things.
Okay. Well, what I'll do is I'll call up there tomorrow, get all the paperwork together, and start my end of it. But if you can get that letter together, that would be great. And then I will add that to the case file. Do you think a couple of weeks would be enough time for you to do that?
A couple of weeks?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'll start working on it.
Okay.
Now.
Perfect. And it has to be signed and notarized.
Yes, ma'am. I've seen that part. I was just wanting to be able to get a chance to talk to you.
I call all my officers.
Right, exactly. Exactly what had happened. And I was told, because I called probably maybe a week afterwards, and I talked to a gentleman at your office, and he gave me a little bit of the information about the steps, but he said he had said the same thing. I think he had it in the notes that he had talked to Sergeant Cromer, and she said the file was too big to send all at one time, which I don't totally understand that either, because this is my livelihood. So, and I know she's smart and she knows how to do stuff, because we were officers together. She trained me when she got promoted to sergeant on patrol. I got promoted as a corporal, and she trained me to be a corporal, and then I took her sergeant spot when she got promoted to internal investigation.
Okay.
So I don't exactly buy.
It's not a big deal because I'll just tell her to put it all on a disc or a thumb drive, and I'll come pick it up. So I'll go.
I appreciate anything, and like I said, I'll start working on that, and I'll try to get that to you.
Do you have the address to mail it to?
Right, and then they'll put an array stamp on. I know.
Well, thank you so much, and I apologize for not getting back with you earlier and
no, ma'am,
taking
Miss
up your
Franklin.
evening.
Like I said, I was just trying my best to be patient as I could because I figured y'all were probably swamped with all this mess going on.
Well, and I've been out of town for 10 days, so I just got back yesterday, so I'm playing catch up on a lot of stuff. But if you have any questions at all, just give me a call back, and this is my work number. And like I said, if you leave me a message, if I don't answer, I will return the call.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate it.
Okay, and you have a good night, sir.
You too.
Today's date is May 27th, 2021. The time now is 15:13 hours. In the room is Lieutenant Rodney Campbell, myself, Sergeant Tiffany Cromer. This is in reference to an internal affairs investigation interview. All right. Anytime I have any type of conversation with anybody, I got to give you Gary. I don't think that there's any reason why I should be, but I think that just to give everybody a nice blanket of coverage, I'll go with it. But do you know what Gary D is?
I do.
Okay. Okay, so the reason why we're here, I'm not sure if you're fully aware. If you are, I still like to cover everything so you have a better idea of where I'm going with questioning. But Officer Leonard is currently under an internal affairs investigation for unbecoming conduct and unsatisfactory performance. On May 21st at 1:18 in the morning, she and Officer Overbay transported Lewis Howard to the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office, where they were sequentially refused admittance. Lewis Howard was refused admittance into the jail due to a medical reason, possible broken ribs, swollen ankles, other things like that. At that point, Officer Leonard becomes unprofessional, starts making comments as the fact that they are going to drop her ass off at the front of the jail, that this is bullshit. It's another bullshit reason as to why they're, refusing her. The sergeant there attempts to talk Officer Leonard out of dropping Miss Howard off at the front of the jail on several different attempts. He fails. She still reiterates that's what she's going to do. Unfortunately, due to the body cam footage cutting in and out, by their own ability, they're turning them on and off. It's really hard to see some stuff, but they do actually go and drop her off at the front of the jail, and from there EMS ends up going out with her, so on and so forth. Now, I know, to my knowledge, we have footage of her doing this one other time as far as dropping a arrestee off at the front of the jail. It is my understanding that this previous incident was with a male who had ingested meth, had high blood pressure. The jail refused him either because of the high blood pressure or because they didn't have medication for him. He requested to be dropped off at the jail. They did. Someone came and picked him up, broad daylight. It wasn't at midnight like the situation was, but the situation did occur. At any point, did you tell Officer Leonard that she could no longer drop arrestees that are refused by the jail off at the front of the jail just for sheer, fun?
I can't put a date and time on it.
Okay.
But it wasn't too long ago.
Okay.
And I was coming back through the squadron. She was at the computer typing a report, and she made a statement. I think she was having a conversation with somebody. I don't even know who else was there. And she said, I'm just going to start dumping them in front of the jail when they're refused. And I said something to the,
Shields of Shame.
I don't know my exact words, but I said, you need to be careful. If it's a medical reason, they got to go to the hospital. It's no big deal. Walk them in, check them in. It's their, you're releasing them there. If they refuse treatment at the hospital, then they refuse treatment at the hospital. But if it's medical, I said, now other reasons, if they want out, then let them out if it's in reasonable distance.
Okay. All right. Are you familiar with any other time that she may have dropped someone off at the front of the jail? Maybe not for a medical reason, but any other time other than this one?
I was not familiar with the mail until yesterday.
Okay.
I didn't know about it.
Okay. All right. Is this common practice for other officers? Have they been dropping off
No, ma'am.
arrestees at the jail? Okay.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. And I do have another question. These body cameras. I know that at some point we were having issues with the batteries, that they were not lasting. At any point, was there any instruction given to them that if they walked away from the scene, got in a car, to turn them off, or to turn them off when someone's being transported, or to turn them off when they go to jail?
The only instruction we've ever been given, and this in years past, was not in relation to the battery, but in relation to the download time.
Okay.
And Mark Davala has said if you're on a scene that's taking up a lot of time,
okay,
make the announcement that you're going to turn your body camera off for a short intermission, so you can break the video up so it doesn't take as long to download.
Okay. Do you know if it's common practice for them to transport with their body cameras off?
Body cameras, I really can't speak of that,
Okay.
but in-car and rear camera should be on.
Okay.
I don't see why your body camera would be on driving the car to the jail when you've got the rear-facing camera.
Okay. As far as going into the jail, is it common practice to have their camera on when they go into the jail? Or I know that a lot of times when you turn it off and then you get to the jail, you don't really think to reactivate it.
I don't go to the jail much.
Okay.
But the only thing I have give direction for is at the hospital. Once you clear the emergency room and you go past the double doors,
okay,
just to protect the privacy of all the other patients that may or may not be decent at the time.
Okay. To make sure they have. All right, I turn it off. Okay. I think that's all the questions I have for you. Is there anything else, and I always like to ask this, but is there anything else that you think may be pertinent or information that I need to know that we have not covered or I have not asked you that you may want to share with me before we end this interview?
I've thought about all of it, and the chiefs even made statements, pass on at roll call, that being the jail refusing somebody is not the end of the world. And they're still doing their job, they're still making the arrest, don't take it personal. And again, I can't give you dates, but we've said that, to both the rotations on night shift. When you spoke about Sergeant Ayers calling me, I looked at that conversation to get the time, but we talked for like 30 minutes. And it was all about how we would look at it Monday, and he didn't understand why she would do that.
Okay. Do you know, and just to reiterate this, do you know if at any point, so there was some radio traffic when Lois Howard went out with fire and EMS in that animal shelter parking lot. It's my understanding that at some point Ayers had a conversation with Officer Leonard about downloading her body camera footage. Do you know if that conversation was had before the ADC contacted him or after? Is there any way you could possibly know that or not?
I do not know.
Okay.
Now,
just 1 second.
I do not know. What kind of pertains to that is our conversation, and like I say, it was 4 a.m, but he did talk about something about either, because I was like, if my recollection's right, I asked, did you watch the body camera? Mm-hmm. And he was either said, it hadn't downloaded or it was slow, and we were having issues with the EWI being slow at the time, or I can't remember if it was Sergeant Ayers' rotation or Sergeant Lilly, but there was a weekend where you couldn't watch videos.
Right.
And that's on me, I just don't remember.
I'm just making a note for myself.
But there was some reason that he couldn't watch the video.
Okay.
I remember that. And I told him, we'd have it Monday.
I know with long camera downloading, is it possible that they would have left their cameras here to download and went home?
No, because, I mean, we're instructed to keep our body cameras with us.
Okay.
Now,
because I know that was right around their shift time of ending.
the battery thing, they could have left it.
Okay.
You know, because it has been going down, but Mark's replaced a lot of the batteries.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the ones that really are, I think Corporal Harrahus's would not gain over 9% of battery.
Wow. Okay.
But, I mean, they could have just not downloaded them.
Okay.
I guess it depends on if they came here before they went 10-7 or if they went.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Can you look at I keep saying EW, I mean the body worn can you look at that system and see when it was downloaded?
I have not been able to figure that part out yet.
I don't think you can.
I've looked. I haven't found anything that would lead me to think that that's when it.
It'll tell when it occurred, but I don't think it'll
Correct.
tell when it came in.
Correct. I can see if maybe Gavala has the ability to see that, but at this time I haven't went that far into it. So, okay. Well, that's all.
I will say this:
Mm-hmm.
I do not see Sergeant Ayers telling her not. I don't see him not telling her not to do that.
Right. I understand that. And I completely understand it. At the end of the day, though, he is a supervisor and he has to be held responsible for the failure to handle the situation when it occurred, if he was made aware of it. And even if he wasn't made aware of it at the initial time that it occurred, was he aware of it there shortly after? Correct. Where it could have been remedied or he could have made contact with her, because at the end of the day, that's just, and there's some other things to it. So, but okay, that's all I have for you. Today's date is May 25th, 2021. The time now is 17:59 hours. In the room is Ashley Penley and myself, Sergeant Tiffany Cromer. This is in reference to a internal affairs investigation interviewing a witness. Okay, so I'm sure you're familiar with the situation that occurred on May the 21st involving Officer Leonard, her FTO, and a situation where a subject, or a female subject, Lois Howard, was brought in and subsequently refused admittance into the jail.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So my understanding is that you were present for certain parts of this encounter. From start to finish, can you kind of just tell me what happened from when you first encountered the situation till you left?
Yes.
Okay.
So I heard that Cam was bringing a female, so myself and Deputy Vasquez went out to the intake area. And before we opened the door, the FTO, I'm not sure of his name, he said when we put her in the car, she kind of pushed herself into the floorboard and she's acting all hurt. And I was like, okay. So we pulled her out of the car and took her into the intake area, and she complained to Deputy Vasquez that she had broken a rib when the officers were putting her into the car. So we called for a nurse immediately, and the nurse came out, and he refused admittance because obviously, he can't really just tell her that her rib's not broken. And when Officer Leonard walked into the intake area and she heard that the female was being refused, I don't want to say she started yelling, but she raised her voice and she was like, she just went to the hospital this morning and she was checked out and she's fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with her. She's lying. I'll put $100 on the fact that she's fine. And then the nurse was like, okay, there's nothing I can do about that. So he signed the refusal paperwork, and then he walked out. He left the intake area. And Leonard looked at her FTO, and she was like, well, I guess just, unhandcuff her. And then, so he took the handcuffs off the female. I don't know why they did that, but
okay.
They took the handcuffs off the female, and I stood by and kind of, held her arm, because she hadn't been patted down, and she was in our facility, and they took the handcuffs off, which was confusing to me. So I just held her arm. And then she continued to kind of raise her voice at our sergeant, Emriano, about how this is ridiculous and our medical staff is incompetent, blah, 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 stuff like that. And then she said that she was going to just drop her off at the front door and leave her there. She didn't want to take her to the hospital. She didn't think anything was wrong with her. So at that point, they all walked out. And I'm not sure what happened after that. I went back into the booking area.
Okay. Did Officer Leonard cuss while she was yelling?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Did you ever witness Officer Leonard on her phone? Did you ever see her answer a phone call?
Yes. I do believe she called a supervisor or something like that.
So, do you think she called someone or she maybe answered a phone call? What do you think?
I'm not sure. I just remember her talking on the phone saying, like, they're going to refuse this female and, like, it's ridiculous, all this stuff, so.
Did you ever hear her say a name?
I didn't, no.
Okay. All right. What gave you the impression that she was speaking to a supervisor?
I can't remember if she said like a rank or if she maybe answered with like ma'am or sir. She said something that clicked in my head that it was a supervisor. I can't recall exactly what she'd said.
Okay. Okay. All right. And so then you left and walked into the booking area?
Yes, after the female was walked out to their car, I left and I went back into the booking area.
Okay, all right. How did you think the elderly female, Miss Lois Howard, looked? What was your take on her?
Physically, I mean, she looked not very well kept. I mean, her clothes were pretty clean for being homeless, as Officer Leonard said she was, but her hair was like greasy. She looked like probably she hadn't bathed in a while, and she looked frightened, like her face. She looked scared. She kept saying she was scared over and over again.
Okay. All right. Did you notice any bruises on her?
I didn't personally. She kept saying her wrists were bruised from the handcuffs, and she like showed me, and I could see indentions from the handcuffs, but I mean that's kind of normal.
Yes,
so
okay. Well, is there anything that you think may be vital for me to know that I haven't asked you about or we haven't already covered?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. Also, really quick, how did the FTO seem? Did you ever hear him say anything other than she fell into the floor?
No, he just approached us. He said she fell into the floor, and then he didn't say anything that I can recall. He just, whenever Leonard told him to take the handcuffs off, he just walked over, took the handcuffs off, and he didn't say anything. He just kind of was, doing what he was told to do.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all the questions that I have for you. Again, thank you for meeting with me, and I apologize again for you even having to be here with me. So, end of interview. The time now is 18:06. Today's date is May 25th, 2021. The current time is 18:24. In the room is Sergeant Tiffany Cromer and Deputy Bryce Searcy with the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office. This is in reference to an interview, a witness interview for an internal affairs investigation. Okay, so what I'd like to try to do first is just explain to you the situation so you are fully aware of why I'm sitting here. On May the 21st, around 1:17 in the morning, Officer Leonard and Officer Overbay arrested a female. Her name is Lois Howard, the elderly female. She was transported here and then subsequently was refused by medical staff. And it is my understanding at that point, Officer Leonard became unprofessional. And again, subsequently left the elderly female, Lewis Howard, at the front of the jail. So if you could please just take me from the moment you made contact to the end of the contact that you had with them and just tell me what happened.
Okay. I was in the booking area, and usually when Leonard comes in, she's a buddy. We don't hang out outside of work or nothing, but I'm always happy to go talk to her when she comes in. Right. But I heard the female was getting refused, and I heard Leonard being a little upset. So, of course, naturally curious, as cops we are. I walk out there, and lady's getting refused. I don't know completely why yet, and I don't even know why she's there.
Okay.
I did hear some Leonard talking about, well, she's homeless. Of course, she's going to have some bruises and some sores. She's homeless. Sarge is getting the paperwork ready for the refusal. And he was signing it, and she was saying, I'm tired of coming up here and them being refused for a bullshit reason, and things like that. And then she made this comment about, every time that somebody gets refused for a bullshit reason, I'm gonna drop them off in front of your jail. That way, when they call 911, it's your problem. Sergeant Briano, it's like, I'm advising you not to do that, please. Again, she goes, no, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Every time y'all refuse a bullshit reason, I'm going to drop them off in front of the jail. Again, he advised her, I strongly advise you not to do this. And he was actually up against a door signing the refusal paperwork. And she was actually leaning up against a wall, still trying to maintain eye contact.
This is a Shields of Shame exclusive.
I'm military, so at that point I kind of had to vacate because, you don't talk to my superior that way, but he's a sergeant. He can handle himself. But
I understand.
Me, my Marine Corps self, I'm like, who the f*** are you talking to my sergeant like that? So I was like, you know what? I'm walking out. Mm-hmm. So I walked out. Now I'm hanging out in the booking area. TV in the corporal's office has cameras. One of them's at the lobby. And I said, and I look and I saw the elderly lady walking around up front, and I'm watching. And she was just kind of walking in circles, like, well, maybe she's waiting on a ride or something. So I just kind of watched for a couple minutes, and then I saw her walking across the roadway, kind of towards our parking lot, and then our camera shuts off. So I was like, I'm going to go do a 92 to see if she's going to our parking lot, what she's doing, because she is homeless, supposedly. So I go up to do a 92. I exit out the lobby, and when I exit out the lobby, she was actually past our parking lot, that new animal shelter parking lot. Mm-hmm. She was towards the end of that.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, well, she's walking down towards the road. Wherever she's going is fine. I take my trainee. We continue a 92 around the building. We come back, and I round the corner down there by the visitation center, and I saw the fire truck. I'm like, okay. So as we just continue walking up in front of the actual sheriff's office building here, then an ambulance shows up. I make the turn at the corner down there by the emergency services.
Yes.
Come down into the south gate. Took a couple steps, and something tell me, let's go talk to fire. So I turned, I went up and talked to fire. I was like, hey, is everything okay? And because I assumed it was her, the elderly lady. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, did she call 911? You're like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, we're trying to find out her story. And I was like, well, I can tell you what I do know. I said, Officer Leonard and her trainee brought him in. She was refused because at this time I had heard that she got refused for the sores and saying she had broken ribs and stuff. I said, so she got refused. Officer Leonard got upset and said she was going to drop her off at our front door. She did. I said, I came up here. She was actually walking up the road. So I was like, okay, good to go. And then they asked me why she was arrested. I didn't know, so I had to call Sarge on the phone. And he told me she was arrested, brought in for criminal trespass, but subsequently refused. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah. So they're like, wow, okay. And she was in there crying, like, take me to the hospital, please. I just want to go to the hospital. I'm like, we're going to take you to the hospital, but we're trying to get some background, find out what's going on here. Mm-hmm. But don't worry, we're taking you to the hospital, trying to calm her down, and because she's seemed a little 24. But, so they're trying to calm her down, but at the same time, they're trying to figure out what the heck's going on. Mm-hmm. So, that ended our conversation. Like, all right, y'all need anything else? You're like, no, that'll be it, thanks. And
Did anyone from our department or y'all's department other than you show up to that scene?
No.
Okay.
No, I called Sarge. I said, hey, they're going to transport her. She called 911. I gave them all the information that I knew, or that we knew that that I was told was about the sores. She was complaining of rib pain. She had broken ribs. They could tell that she seemed a little 24, and that she was refused for criminal trespassing and dropped off in our front door. And he goes, okay, great. So when I came back down and I finished my 92, Sarge called me in his office, asked me to go over it with him again, and I guess he did a memo because he wasn't sure if the fire department, who was going to see,
right.
And I don't know. And now you're here.
Okay, I understand. At any point, did you ever see Officer Leonard on her cell phone?
This is a Shields of Shame exclusive.
No, I don't think I did.
No? Okay, all right. Did you ever speak or have any type of conversation with Overbay, ever see him speak, which is the trainee?
No. He was over on the computer side and getting her re-handcuffed, whatever, to exit the building, getting her stuff. The only one I heard talk was Leonard and being pissed off that we were refusing her for the BS reasons that she said.
Did she use the curse word fuck at any point that you heard?
I do not recall.
Okay, all right. But you do, okay, all right. Okay, did you ever walk outside of the jail with her?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay.
No, because that's when she's kind of leaning, kind of getting in my sergeant's face, that's when I walked off to keep.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, the whole Marine Corps part wanted to come out and like, who the hell are you talking to a superior like that?
So when he was right on the door and she was kind of in his face, you walked away and never had contact with her again?
Correct.
Okay, all right. Perfect. All right. Well, before I end the conversation, I always like to ask, is there anything that you think is vital for me to know that I maybe not have asked you or we may have not covered?
No, ma'am. Like I said, I don't know anything that happened before. I usually go outside to talk to Leonard.
Okay.
And I kind of heard her. I knew it was her voice. And then once I got out there, I realized she was a little aggravated. And then it led to me ended up leaving. But, no, I mean, it's pretty cut and dry, really. Simple. Mm-hmm. Wasn't a lot to it. But.
Okay. All right. Did you ever hear her say anything about calling a supervisor or anything like that? No. Okay.
No. One thing I heard her say was that multiple times she was going to drop her off in the front of our building, so it's our problem when she calls 911.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all I've got for you. The time now is 6:32. End of recording. Today's date is May 25th, 2021. The time now is 17:45 hours. In the room is Sergeant Tiffany Cromer and Stella Vasquez. This is in reference to an internal affairs investigation and a witness interview. Okay. So I just want to start by stating thank you for meeting with me.
You're welcome.
I hate the circumstances that we're meeting, but I imagine you understand it. So a part of my job is to investigate unprofessional conduct, unsatisfactory performance, and I believe that's kind of obviously why I'm here. Officer Leonard, are you familiar with who she is?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It's my understanding that she came to the jail on May the 21st around 1:17 in the morning with Lois Howard, who
the elderly lady. Yes, I didn't remember her name, but I remember her being elderly.
Okay,
yes.
All right. Well, her name is Lois Howard, and it's my understanding that she was refused by medical staff. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. What is that nurse's name? Do you know?
It's the male nurse, and his first name is Russell, and I don't remember his last name.
That's okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So, if you could just take me from start to finish,
Okay.
what happened?
So we got a call. There was a female coming in. Canton was bringing a female in. So I was a female down in booking. So I went out to the car. Another female, Penley, came behind me. I wanted to get this female out of the car, and she was, of course, carrying on. Her ribs hurt, her hands hurt, everything hurt. She was very elderly, and she appeared to be very frail to me. So I got her out of the car, escorted her inside, called for a nurse because her ankles, when I looked down at her ankles, they were just, it was huge.
Okay.
So I just, before we accepted her, wanted to make sure that she was, medically we could keep her.
Right, I understand
So
that.
called for the nurse. Nurse Russell came down and he spoke with her for a minute. He looked at her. He said, just her physical appearance, he said, she needs to get checked out. She's got, bruises. She's got swollen legs, and she just didn't look good.
Okay.
So from that point on, Officer Leonard, she had a trainee with her. Officer Leonard basically started losing her mind. And excuse me, I'm not a cursing
That's
person
fine.
at all, but I'm going to be verbatim for what she said.
Please do.
She said that she said to Sergeant Embriano, what's wrong with these nurses? They don't know their job. She was just going on and on about how she's tired of bringing people in. They get turned away, and they're just fucking stupid. They need to do a better job. She was going on and on about that.
Okay.
Just yelling. And she proceeded to yell and curse, and she was even getting on to the lady that was sitting there. She was here for criminal trespass, I believe. Mm-hmm. And she made the reference, and she said, well, she's just homeless, and she's always in places where she shouldn't be. She's just homeless, as if, I don't know, it was very demeaning,
Okay.
I understand it's an inmate, but it was very demeaning. So the nurse refused her. She just was cursing and yelling and, being very disrespectful to my sergeant. So she said, well, all I'm going to do is, I'm not taking her to the hospital. All I'm going to do is drive her around front. I'm going to drop her off. That's where she's going to be. And when I'm saying this, her voice was very elevated, yelling at him. And he said, no, I don't think you should do that. Don't do that. So she said, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drive her around, and I'm going to drop her off. We're not taking her anywhere because she needs to be here. The nurse shouldn't have done that. She was very belligerent, just yelling and repeating the same thing over and over. Well, it turns out when she finally left, she in fact did, after being told not to do what she did, she in fact dropped the lady off up front. And eventually an ambulance showed up. That's all I know. Once she dropped her, I don't know from beyond that point. But when the lady, Deputy Penley and myself were getting her in, and she was struggling to walk. I don't know if she was putting on or not, but I know she was struggling to walk. So then when she was refused, Leonard was yelling at her, telling her, get up out of the chair. You can walk. You're just putting on. I don't know why you're doing this. You're just putting on. You shouldn't be doing this. You know how to walk and you know how to do things, so just get up and walk out to the car. So, yeah, it was,
Okay.
yeah.
Can you tell me about it's actually Officer Overbay. He's in FTO with her.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me anything about him, about the situation?
He never said a word.
Never said a word.
No,
Okay.
I don't recall him ever saying a word, but I don't know how he would have gotten a chance. He did come over, and he took the handcuffs off because she still had handcuffs on at that point, and she told him to come and take the handcuffs off. And he came over and he did what he was, he was told to do. But I don't recall him saying anything unprofessionally. I think, in my opinion, just from his appearance, maybe he was kind of taken back by what she was doing, the way her behavior as well. But he didn't say a word that I can recall.
Okay. Did you ever see her get on a cell phone, answer a call?
She was on a cell phone.
Okay. Do you recall any of that conversation?
She was yelling so much, I think she was still yelling while she was on the phone, but she was on a cell phone.
Okay. After the phone call, did she say anything? Were you there when she got off the phone?
No, she just kept yelling about the nurse and being refused, and she was going to drop the lady off up front, and she was just really mad that the lady wasn't there because there was nothing wrong with her. Mm-hmm. And she just repeated she was just homeless, and things like that.
Okay.
I don't recall what was actually said on the phone or what was said after she got off. I just remember all the yelling that was going on.
Do you know if she answered more than one call? Or if it was
Not
just
that
one?
I'm aware, because there was a point when they took her, Deputy Penley and I came back in to the booking area,
Mhm.
and she and the sergeant went out to intake, or outside.
Okay.
So.
Okay. All right. Do you know, so I have that video footage. Do you know if there's sound to it? Because what I got, it doesn't have.
It doesn't. We don't have sound.
Okay. Okay.
We don't have sound on the. And the reason I know that is I used to oversee all that stuff, and there's no sound. It's
Okay.
just the video.
Okay. All right. Okay. Is there anything else you think that might be vitally important for me to know that we haven't touched on already?
I mean, just the biggest thing, and I think you got the gist of it, is just the way she was yelling at my sergeant.
Right.
And cursing at him and telling him what she was going to do and how incompetent our nursing staff was. And, you know,
right.
It was interesting, to say the least.
Okay. All right. Well, that is all the questions that I have for you, ma'am. Thank you again for meeting with me. And again,
You're welcome.
On behalf of my department, I sincerely apologize for what you were subjected to that night.
Well,
So,
thank you so much.
All right, I'm going to end the recording. It's now 17:53.